Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again, hey.
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome one and all to a Tuesday matinee edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Davila, of course. Just got to unmute that microphone there.
See, things move so fast in our society that retro is retro 3 weeks after you introduce the new intro.
That's right.
We went retro today.
Oh, was that retro today?
That was retro.
Oh, that was my mistake. Because you know what I did? Because we have all of our old tunes.
It's not a mistake. It's retro.
Oh, it's retro. Oh, you know what it is? We have all of our old tunes. You know, our variety. We have a reggae countdown. We have the acid jazz countdown.
I liked. I never heard this that countdown, man. I was listening to it in the kitchen, so I wouldn't be late. It was good.
Yeah, it's a good countdown. Well, this is the thing.
That jazz one, yeah.
We're transitioning over our full music countdowns to the new because I have to sync them with the new intro. And I did that today. I must have just uploaded the wrong one by accident. But there you go. A little taste of the past, a little look into the past. So there you go. Well, thanks everybody very much for being here today. I am bundled up in my hoodie. It is winter weather up here. It is snowing like crazy in upstate New York. It's raining down there, right?
It is raining. It is indeed raining.
Yeah, it's a snow day up here. And our school district like never closes. Like hardly ever. You know, up here people are used to the snow. You know, everybody's got their four-wheel drive, whatever the hell. But yeah, it's pretty bad. Coming down pretty hard. So we got a full slate of programming today.
We sure do.
Yes.
We sure do. I took a video of it. Maybe I'll show it over on Sunday. I went and got my travel vaccines. A couple of them.
Wow.
But check this shit out, man. You want to know how fucked up healthcare is in America? Now, okay, travel medicine is not covered really under any insurance that I know of. It's a very specific thing. You got to go specifically to a travel doctor. You got to pay for it. Okay, so I was looking at the Japanese encephalitis vaccine, which I did not get yet. I just got typhoid and Hep A and B, which is actually a second dose. I got the first when I went to India. Japanese encephalitis here for the 2 doses, $1,200.
Wow.
So I started saying, you know what, man? They got to have these kind of travel medicine vaccines in Thailand. So I looked it up very quickly, found travel clinics. Fucking altogether, it'd be about $30 in Thailand.
Wow.
$30. $1,200 in America. $30 in Thailand.
That's a great country. Wonderful country.
Great country. Best country on earth.
Best country. Aren't we so lucky to be here? Right? Aren't we so lucky to be here?
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy stuff. So there you go. All right. So you get it when you go there.
Fuck that shit. I'm not getting it.
Where they got Japanese encephalitis?
I wish I hadn't gotten the other ones. It didn't even occur to me to do it that way. The other ones would have been about the same, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess they have Japanese encephalitis in Thailand, in Southeast Asia there?
They have it throughout Asia.
Right.
Like you could get that in China too.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's a tough. You probably don't want that.
You don't want that. Look, I mean, a lot of people
That's
who
where your
get
brain
it are
swells, but you get.
asymptomatic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, same
But
thing here.
it's one of those things. If that happens to you, you're going to really wish you got that vaccine. And now, if I'm going to pay $30, it's a no-brainer. Why would I not do it?
Yeah. That's
For
where your brain
$30,
swells
sure.
really big. You get good at math, and then you die.
That's it.
That's
it.
the
all
Asian
of a sudden, you
encephalitis.
can do calculus.
Yeah, you could do calculus for a half hour, and then that's it. You're done. Say it's a very bad sign. You get good. It's a very bad sign. The prognosis no good.
I mean, in China, they make you go work in the AI labs before you die.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So you get to see some sights, or you get the Japanese encephalitis vaccine. All right, there you go. All righty, folks. Well, hey, thanks everybody for being here today. Appreciate you all. 714 filing in on YouTube, 315 over on Rumble. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Hey, if you're listening on audio, Spotify, Apple, wherever, smash that subscribe button too. Become a follower to the audio podcast as well. That is super helpful. And if some of you YouTubers want to just go and subscribe to us on the Spotify, that helps us out a lot in the Spotify algorithm. So maybe you can help us juice our Spotify algorithm. Even if you watch us on YouTube, just find us on Spotify and follow us. That'll make them promote us more, and we will spread our gospel further and wider than normal. All right, so please do that for us if you
spread the
so
evangel of due dissidence.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody, let's take a look at some news. All right, I hope our friend Jacob is watching today. We're gonna make his day. The World Socialist website did some good reporting on this. Tyson eliminates 3,200 jobs with closure of Nebraska beef plants. Last week, Tyson Foods announced it will close its massive beef plant in Lexington, Nebraska. See, they don't work too hard at the World Socialist website. They're like, yeah, last week this happened. Yeah, we'll do last week's news. This happened a week ago. We can write an article. Late schmate. Who cares? That's what socialism's all about, right? Just kidding, of course. Of course I'm just kidding. Obviously, I'm just kidding. Look at me. It's me. It's all in good fun. Last week, Tyson Foods announced it will close its massive beef plant in Lexington, Nebraska, a facility that directly employs roughly 3,000 to 3,200 workers in a town of about 11,000 people. The closure is scheduled to take effect on or around January 20th, 2026, according to the company's WARN notice to the Nebraska Department of Labor. Workers have been told that they have no guaranteed transfers, meaning these are essentially permanent job losses. Built in 1990 and later acquired by Tyson, the plant has been an economic backbone of the city, employing a significant portion of the local workforce. Its ability to slaughter up to 5,000 heads of cattle per day, about 5% of total U.S. capacity, turned Lexington into a crucial node in the beef supply chain. Yeah, that is pretty crucial. 5% of U.S. slaughtered beef is out of that plant. That is pretty amazing. The impact will have devastating consequences for workers and for the community of Lexington, creating a chain reaction in which other small businesses depending on these workers will suffer as well. Workers and their families will be forced to uproot themselves in search of new jobs. So here is a local TV station reporting on the community impact of this plant closure.
In central Nebraska is left in a lurch after Tyson Foods announces plans to shutter its plant in Lexington.
Thousands of people will be laid off just after the holiday season. KETV Newswatch 7 Capitol Bureau Chief John Grunwald traveled there today. He has more on how the community is rallying together.
Steam pours from the rooftops of Tyson Foods, hanging over the semis wheeling in and out. To some in town, it may as well be shadows curling overhead.
They feel like their life is over.
The announcement came Friday. Around 3,200 jobs in the city of 11,000 would disappear come late January.
They don't even want to take the holidays off now. They don't even feel like there is anything to celebrate.
A shock for Lexington Public Schools, whose student body speaks more than 20 languages.
Half of our kids have parents that work at the plant. For the time being, just supporting our families, supporting our kids, our staff members. We have the personnel to be able to do that. We're unique in that way, I think, in a community of our size. just trying to help stabilize the environment.
Community and state leaders now scrambling for solutions as the thousands who work at Tyson currently search for new jobs and a new horizon.
My message is don't panic, stay strong, and there are resources to help us get through this.
State Senator Teresa Iba joined community leaders on Tuesday afternoon.
How are we reaching that?
It was a pooling of resources. The Department of Labor and Health and Human Services, the hospital, banks, work training organizations, and the library, which is already hosting job fairs.
What in the high levels, the federal levels, local levels are doing to bring the happiness, the jobs that we are losing.
It's day by day, but many are still hopeful Lexington can rally through the disaster.
So, Timcast News, of all outlets, obtained this video here. A Tyson Foods worker filmed the moment management told employees they would be laid off, but still expected to show up every day for the next 60 days. The video also leaves open how many Americans from Lexington, Nebraska were actually affected by the plant's closure. I get it, because they're brown workers mostly, right? Probably a lot of immigrant workers. That's why I was like, why would Timcast News post a pro-worker video? That's why.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why. Because
This is what I voted for.
Yeah, they're not real. They're not Americans, right? Notice of mass layoffs.
I'm trying to get out that door.
So there's what she's saying being translated.
You will work for approximately 60 more days.
You work for 60 more days. Sorry, it's a little hard to hear. And impossible to subtitle because of all the translation.
Pay you 4 hours. You will come back Monday regular time. You're going to have a lot of questions. Next week, we'll be able to have meetings and answer your questions. Okay, but I do need you to come to work Monday and work these 60 days.
How about suck my dick? How's that? How's that?
Okay. So if you've punched in and you have a paper, I now need you to go home.
Yeah. So Kevin Widner responds to that Timcast tweet. Americans shouldn't need several translators to be told they are laid off. So I'm guessing very few, if any, Americans were laid off. Jimmy from the G says, so basically no Nebraskan was laid off. Phew. Now, hang on. Because, look, what I'll say, I have a unique perspective on this. Not unique, but somewhat unique. As someone who actually spent 12 hours in Lexington, Nebraska. We were driving across country with some friends.
And as a former slaughterhouse worker.
Yeah, and as a former meat packer. Yeah, exactly. We were driving across country with two buddies. We pulled over for gas in Lexington, Nebraska. And then when we went to pull out of the gas station, we realized we had a flat tire because there was construction that forced everybody to drive half off the road for a few miles on the highway heading into town. And we had a donut for a spare. We didn't have a full spare tire. So you can't drive 1,500 miles to California on a donut. So we're like, all right, I guess we're getting a hotel and going to Walmart in the morning, get this tire replaced. And so we spent 12 hours there. And must be a recent phenomenon that this became an immigrant destination, because when I was there was not a brown person in sight in that town. That was an all-white town, Lexington, Nebraska. So this must be relatively recent. So, okay, let's say this is a Springfield, Ohio situation, and they brought in a lot of immigrants. Isn't the whole point of getting the immigrants out so that Americans can work at the plants? Right? Isn't that the whole point? Not we're going to close the plant so we're going to lay off the immigrants and then we're going to close the plant. I thought the whole point of the mass deportations was we need to get rid of the immigrants so that Americans could start working at that meatpacking plant. But no. They're all getting laid off and the plant is closing. It's closing. And what is happening alongside that? Trump to quadruple Argentine beef imports while U.S. ranchers fume. So you see how this is what we told you all along. You, meaning the workers, are never getting a good deal out of these people. This whole red herring of, well, there's immigrants working at the plants. And if only we got rid of them, we would have no, they're going to get rid of them and eliminate those jobs. That's what we told you was going to happen over and over again. And now it's happening. Okay. So this guy understands something else. This is another important point. Most of the workers at Tyson are immigrants. It's crazy how even these giant corporations can't afford to pay their help the minimum wage or less than that they're paying, all because they need that profit margin for the shareholders. That's what everything is about. So yes, Robert Reich points out Tyson is closing a Nebraska plant that employs 3,200 workers in order to right-size its business. The meatpacking giant paid its CEO $22.7 million last year, 525 times its median employee's pay. It also spent $196 million in stock buybacks to reward shareholders. Textbook corporate greed.
It's a big club.
Yeah.
And you ain't in it. It's a big club.
Right.
And you
ain't in it. That's exactly right. You see how all of a sudden this issue of immigrant workers versus American workers becomes less and less significant, right? They're not interested in giving a good deal to any workers. They would sooner close the plant and the government will import the beef to offset some of the cost. Tyson shift consolidation to impact around 1,700 Amarillo workers and Maverick program. So this is in Amarillo, Texas. So in addition to closing the Nebraska plant outright, they downsized their workforce at a major Texas plant as well. Tyson Foods will transition workers to a single shift at the Amarillo beef plant, which will affect approximately 1,700 local employees. The transition means the end of the Maverick Boys and Girls Club of Amarillo's Night Owl program. Many of the workers impacted are refugees and migrants. As we previously reported, Tyson Foods, confirmed Friday that the Amarillo plant will transition to a single full capacity shift. The Amarillo Tribune confirmed that approximately 1,700 people will lose their jobs and that the Amarillo plant's layoffs will begin January 20th. According to the Amarillo Chamber of Commerce, Tyson Foods is the third largest employer in Amarillo. When the Chamber's survey was last updated in February of 2022, Tyson reported having 4,300 full-time employees. It's been such a hard emotional decision for all the staff out at Tyson, and that's why I say we have a partnership, because it's like when one person hurts, we all hurt, and this has been a real heartbreaking situation for Tyson. Donna Soria, CEO of the Maverick Boys and Girls Club of Amarillo, said. The Maverick works in partnership with Tyson to offer the club's Night Owl program. Soria said the program provides after-school care for 40 children of the plant's B-shift workers. Soria said the program is 100% funded by Tyson and serves children ranging in age from 5 to 18 years old. According to Soria, the Night Owls are picked up after school and returned to the Maverick Monday through Friday. While there, they complete their homework and are given an after-school snack. After 7 p.m., children who are not members of the Night Owl program are picked up, and the remaining children are fed dinner and begin their bedtime routine with the Maverick staff until their parents can pick them up after the B shift ends at 1 a.m. So think about that. You're a kid, you go to school all day. After school, you don't go home to be with your family or your parents. You go to the Night Owl program, and your parents pick you up at 1 o'clock in the morning. And then you do that 5 days a week. What a great life for a child.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You're doing down there.
You know what they call that family values.
Yeah, that's family values for you right there, right? Child goes to school and then they live basically at a daycare paid for by the company while your parent works there until 1 a.m. Those are the kinds of jobs that Americans are just itching to do. I'm sure Americans are breaking down the door. I'm sure Batyangar Sargon's breaking down the door to go, hack off cow heads until 1 o'clock in the morning and then pick their kid up so that they can wake them up six hours later to take them to school and start the whole process over and over again. Yeah.
These cows die so Americans can live.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What a reality. What a reality. But that's a reality no more, I guess, because 1,700 of those jobs have gone bye-bye, as well as the 3,200 in Lexington, as we, continue to import beef from Argentina. And the shareholders at Tyson, they're not taking much of a pay cut. What did the guy at $22.7 million? 525 times the median salary. So there you have it. This is why people say that they are worse off economically. This is why confidence is so low, because this is what you voted for, I guess. I guess this is half of it. I guess, getting the immigrants out of the plants, that's a part of it you voted for. The key second part, though, was that Americans were supposed to be put back to work when that happened. The plants weren't supposed to close and downsize. That's the part that I guess you didn't see coming, but you fell for it again, I suppose.
Yeah, it's very, very, very obvious. What was one of the first things that Trump did when he got into office? Convene a big meeting with labor leaders to figure out how to put Americans back to work, to how to create training programs for better jobs for people who've been displaced by outsourcing and the strip mining of the whole middle of the country. Is that what he did? Or did he convene a huge meeting with Sam Altman, with David Sachs, to talk about a $500 billion investment in AI?
Right.
Ellison was at that meeting, right? They had a big press conference. So what is AI? Is that to make jobs or take away jobs? Why would that be his priority? Why every time, and I've showed these clips several times, where they accidentally told the truth, where Pigman Lutnick and Scott Bissett, when they were asked, well, are there enough American workers to do these jobs? Immediately they started talking about automation.
Right.
Immediately they start talking about smart factories. There was just, I might cover this on Sunday because I want it to be a special report. I've been wanting to do something on this for a while. They just did kind of a beta test of robots in an auto factory for a year to see if they could do the job. 99% accuracy of these robots. Now they're about to take what they learned from that 1 year and release the permanent robot version. The basic concept of communism, this is why a lot of people look at China or look at Vietnam, they say it's not communist. They wouldn't say that it is. Like, the idea of communism is it's something you would get to once you have the material resources to have it. Of necessity, you're going to have a hybrid system until you get to what some people call, it's not just me, I've seen other people say this, Star Trek communism. You get to a place where there's enough material prosperity that everyone has a basic level that they're provided for. The battle of this moment that is not being articulated enough, Yanis Varoufakis's book, it gives good insight into techno-feudalism, as I believe he coined the phrase, that they're trying to create. This is a battle between techno-feudalism and Star Trek communism. They want techno-feudalism as the outcome of a world where you don't really need labor anymore. You certainly don't need it on the scale that you had it before. This is why I keep saying they're trying to fucking kill you off. They're trying to kill you off. How do you know a thing? By what it does. Would you take away everybody's healthcare subsidies if you weren't trying to kill them? What do you think? They don't understand that people are going to die as a result of that? Their fear is if you follow this through to its logical implication according to the world that they want, a lot of people are going to be very angry. The more dead people, the less angry, impoverished workers to stir up revolution. They're trying to kill you off so that you cannot force from the other side, hey, why don't we distribute this to everybody? When you see people talking about capitalism, capitalism's dead, man. Capitalism does not, I mean, it's dead for workers. It's dead for you. The days when you're gonna go follow the rules and play by the rules and buy a house, it's over. There's nothing in this system for you unless you are one of the overlords. And like the real overlords, even the gap between the 0.01% and 1% is enormous. It's like 80 guys benefiting from this system. There is nothing there is no reasonable course of action other than revolution. You need a revolution. This system cannot provide for the people. You're either going to have revolution or you're going to die.
I mean, there was never capitalism for workers. There was always capitalism for robber barons, and the robber barons of old were industrial robber barons. That's why there was some upward mobility for the workers, because as craven as the robber barons were, they needed people to actually build buildings and build railroads and actually make stuff. Right? And those workers were exploited, but they were needed. So there was some upward mobility for them.
Right.
It wasn't really capitalism for them. It was just they could get paid enough to have a decent life at one time.
They could have a decent life within that system.
Right. But now the robber barons are not industrial robber barons. Now they're tech robber barons, which means workers are irrelevant, right? Or they're information robber barons, right? Which, once again, same essential problem. You don't need masses of workers, right? And so once you don't need masses of workers, there's no upward mobility for workers because you're not needed. Because the new game in town is getting rich in your gym shorts, at a Miami penthouse condo, right? You don't have to actually go out and build and lay railroad tracks and build shit anymore. Yeah.
So I got my gym shorts on.
Yeah, there you go. That's the new 3-piece suit. Yeah,
I just read an article in Vanity Fair saying it all starts with the gym shorts.
It all starts with the gym shorts. Gym short capitalism. That's what it should be called.
Rest for success.
That's what really it should be called. Gym short capitalism. There you go. That's a book. All you need is a catchy title, and then you just repackage some shit that somebody else said before.
That's it. That should be our book, man. We should release that 2028 for campaign season.
Gym short capitalism and other repackaged platitudes by due dissidents. Other repackaged cliches for the modern era. Yeah, there you go. I like it. That's a plan. All right. Abiding 71 says Corn Pop was the hero of the story, just a razor wielding badass who caught a pasty pervert ogling kids at a public pool. Decided pedo summer was officially canceled. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, I love how StreamYard, they should focus on just getting their shit to work right as opposed to innovating some new feature every week. Every week they're like, "Hey, have you seen this?" No, I haven't.
I know.
This.
No, I haven't, and I don't want to.
The right way. Yeah. Now they have this thing where they have a timer where you have 10 seconds to read the banner, and you have to manually turn it off. Otherwise, it'll disappear in 10 seconds. See, watch. No hands, folks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, gone. And I have to manually change that if I want to be able to read the super chat in peace. This soundtrack this morning is exactly what Michael Tracy has in the background as he's tweeting about the age of consent. Good one, Abiding. Thank you. Okay. Noah Goop says, "Happy Tuesday, DD. In the words of the great Michael Rappaport, every time is a blessing. Every time is a mitzvah." Thank you, Noah Goop. T-Bone says, "Have a great show, Russ and Keaton. You two are aces." Thank you, T-Bone. Appreciate that very much.
Very nice of you.
All right. You want to take some super chats there?
Yeah, let's rock. Okay. Michael Castillo. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Valhalla VFT. Yeah, I know. A former SEAL who served with the Foreign Legion who said only 1% are actually French. Well, yeah, that's they are then given Canadian passports with fake names. Free Palestine. Yeah, I mean, that was always the thing with the French Foreign Legion. It's the last place to go for the wretched of the earth. Like if you're all out of options and wanted by your local constabulary, you could go join the French Foreign Legion. It's long been known for that. Ken Texican. I've wondered about that though. Like, what use is there now for the French Foreign Legion? They don't have colonies like that.
Right.
I have actually wondered this because when I was a kid, see, Keaton, you're a little young. You wouldn't have been watching these old movies growing up pre-cable. But Gen Xers are like encyclopedic of like 1930s and 40s cinema because of that. That was a very common plot device in comedies back then, them going to join the French Foreign Legion. Like, I think there was a whole Abbott and Costello movie where they joined the French Foreign Legion. Ken Texican Secretary of Defense Whiskey Tango Foxtrot calls for lethal kinetic strike. What the fuck is lethal non-kinetic strike?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Killing me softly with his song. Def gonna need more than a Roberta Flack jacket for incoming this time. They're trying to save him. That'll be our next segment.
Thank you for that. Let's have a cowbell. That was a $50
yeah.
chat right there. Thank you for
Thank
that,
you,
Ken
man.
Texican. Appreciate that.
Marigold Rose, Iowa's 2nd District has the chance to vote for a real dissident for Congress, independent Dave Bushaw. This guy's the real deal. Check him out. That's
I like
not
that name.
when is that?
It must be, I don't know, maybe
that's the
November.
next year, midterm.
Yeah, there's an election today in Tennessee. We'll see what
That's
happens.
the big one. That's
Yeah.
the big one.
I like his name, Dave Bushaw. It's a good name.
And that's usually how we make our decisions about who to endorse.
Sounds like an Iowa name. Definitely not a carpetbagger with a name like that. Yeah,
like Bushaw, but with a B.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we move right on along to some more developments in the saga of Secretary Pete Hegseth.
Okay, let's take a look at Secretary Pete's wacky adventures this week. So we did a story the other night. You probably heard about this. The Washington Post broke the story that Hegseth gave an order to do a double tap on a boat in the Caribbean. There were 2 men, according to reports, clinging to the side of the boat. And Hegseth supposedly gave the order to kill them all or kill everybody. So they've really wrestled with how they want to address this. First, Pete essentially denied it. He went to the fake news thing. As usual, the fake news is delivering more fabricated, inflammatory, and derogatory reporting to discredit our incredible warriors fighting to protect the homeland. And no, my call sign was not old whiskey dick, as reported on a certain disreputable podcast. So they asked Trump about it, and here's what he had to say.
About it, he said he did not say that, and I believe him 100%.
You don't know if there was.
You're talking about the 2 men?
The second strike to kill the 2 men.
No, he said he didn't do it. He said he never said.
Would you be okay with that if he did?
He said he didn't do it, so I don't have to make that decision. Number one, I don't know that happened, and Pete said he did not want them. He didn't even know what people were talking about. So we'll look into it, but no, I wouldn't have wanted that. Not a second strike. The first strike was very lethal. It was fine, and if there were 2 people around, but Pete said that didn't happen.
Does that make you?
I have great confidence.
You saying there's no second strike?
I don't know. I'm going to find out about it, but Pete said he did not order the death of those 2 men.
Do you have any concerns about how those boat strikes have been carried out at all?
Very little, because you can see the boats, you can see the drugs in the boats, and each boat is responsible for killing 25,000 Americans. So, and they're doing an amazing job.
I'm good with extrajudicial killings with no evidence.
Right.
But killing them in the water, that's a little too much. We could have just done what we did with the other guys that we captured in order to avoid actually having to air these claims in a court of law. Just let them go. Just let them go, Pete. What are you, a maniac? Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, this is like rhetorical chicken with the truth. Like, does anyone actually believe that Hegseth didn't oversee this? And does anyone actually believe that Donald Trump would be opposed to them killing 2 survivors? Like, does anyone believe that? No one believes that. No one.
No.
Yeah, people who support, no one actually believes. So, like, what are we doing here? Are we just like playing this cute game where we bullshit each other? Like, no one actually believes what they're saying.
Well, this is a whole administration built on what can we get away with. So this is a good example of it.
Right.
Now, the only problem is they're trying to rescue an unstable drunk from himself, and he's not going to make it easy, as unstable drunks do.
Yeah.
He posted this in the middle of all this. Franklin targets narco terrorists of the beloved childhood books character blowing up a boat right in the middle of this. November 30th, he puts this out for your Christmas wish list. People, of course, had a lot of fun with this. Franklin goes to The Hague. Franklin is prosecuted for war crimes and murder on the high seas. and maybe the best, Franklin goes to Alcoholics Anonymous.
Miss
But
Rachel sodomizes Franklin with strap-on in prison. How about that?
so now they've kind of figured out what they're going to do, and they've launched Operation Scapegoat. Hegseth, with White House help, tries to distance himself from boat strike fallout. So Carolyn Levitt had a really remarkable press conference where they floated this new strategy of blaming the guy who carried out Pete Hegseth's orders.
Social media posts, Secretary Hegseth didn't go into details about that strike. He just said U.S. operations in the area were lawful, and he said that the story and media reports were fabricated. So to be clear, does the administration deny that that second strike happened, or did it happen and the administration denies that Secretary Hegseth gave the order?
The latter is true, Abe, and I have a statement to read for you here. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it.
All right, so just to be clear, that's important. He said, are you saying that Hegseth didn't give the order? The latter is true. Hegseth did not give the order. That's what they're claiming now.
Clear that presidentially designated narco-terrorist groups are subject to lethal targeting in accordance with the laws of war. With respect to the strikes in question on September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated. And I would just add one more point to remind the American public why these lethal strikes are taking place. Because this administration has designated these narco-terrorists as foreign terrorist organizations. The president has a right to take them out if they are threatening the United States of America and if they are bringing illegal narcotics that are killing our citizens at a record rate, which is what they are doing. And under the previous administration, there was enough fentanyl trafficked into our country to kill every American man, woman, and child many times over. And so that's why you've seen a drastic difference in this administration's policy with respect to the last, and it's one of the many reasons the American public reelected this president and support this Secretary of War in conducting these strikes.
So to be clear, to clarify, Admiral Bradley was the one who gave that order for a second strike.
And he was well within his authority to do so.
Yes. We're going to blame it on a scapegoat and then pretend to be protecting the scapegoat. Pretty amazing, but Secretary Sugar Baby goes on. A reporter asks about whether they're prepared to admit that these two people were alive clinging to the side of the boat who were then killed.
To follow back up on the Washington Post reporting, so much of the concern from Democrats and Republicans is focused on the survivors. Why won't the administration either confirm or deny or reveal whether or not there were survivors after that initial first strike? And what imminent threat would two survivors pose who were clinging presumably to the wreckage of that boat?
Again, as I said, I think you guys are sort of not listening fully to the statement I've provided. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was totally destroyed and the threat to the narco-terrorists, to the United States, was eliminated. And for any further questions about his thinking, I would defer you to the Department of War. I obviously wasn't in the room for these.
You're not swallowing my bullshit. My bullshit is clearly that we don't really care about those two people being killed, and if they were, it was legal. Why? Don't know. Don't know. And then he or she once again confirms when asked, Hegseth, the guy who's theoretically in charge, you ever hear buck stops here? Not in this White House, baby.
To clarify, Admiral Bradley was the one who gave that order for a second strike.
And he was well within his authority to do so.
And a separate question, the president several days ago said
he was well within his authority.
Wow.
So they get Hegseth on script for a minute. They get him to stop posting psychopathic memes of children's characters murdering fishermen. Let's make one thing crystal clear. Admiral Mitch Bradley is an American hero. a true professional and has my 100% support.
Yeah, like he's the one on the hot seat, not you.
Yeah, I stand by him and the combat decisions he has made.
He has made
on the September 2nd mission and all others since. America is fortunate to have such men protecting us. When this Department of War says we have the back of our warriors.
Oh my God. Like, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Like, how disloyal are you? Like, how scummy can you possibly be? What they're doing here is they're saying it was the admiral who gave the order. No, we fully back him, while at the same time reserving the right to throw him under the bus once it's determined that he, not we, he committed a war crime. Like, this is like beyond mafia shit. Like, it's beyond, like, they are more disloyal than like Paulie Walnuts, after you just did a bank job. Paulie Walnuts is more likely to give you your fair cut than you are to get loyalty from Pete Hegseth.
Yeah, these people are just really the scum of the earth.
Unbelievable.
And it's going to be really funny watching Benny in the Closet and the rest of that crew jump on board with this and try to make it make sense. Where this administration doesn't throw its war fighters under the bus. We stand with
we stand with him. We stand with he who made the decision to kill the survivors.
Bradley.
He, not me, he made a decision that's under scrutiny now, and I support him 100%.
Him, get it?
Him. I love him. You're not gonna mess with him on my watch. You messing with him, not me. Wasn't my decision. Him. He's a hero.
Amazing.
I mean, that is just like, they think of how stupid they think you are if you support them. Think of what contempt he has for his own supporters, that he would put a statement out and not expect people to not understand how unbelievably two-faced that is.
Yeah, this is the thing, man. I did some research for the next piece, the Megyn Kelly part of this, where I was looking for reactions, and Hegseth's turtle thing. You really didn't have your usual suspects. You had Gunther Eagleman, and that was about it. Like, you are not getting a lot of people who are willing to get on board with this. And the ones who are, they're bots, man. That's a bot farm. That's a bot farm. Like, it doesn't even seem like real people who are backing this up. It's, in so many ways, what you see on social media is patriots being responded to by bot farms. Like, nobody is real in the entire exchange, really. So Maine here, who is real, I believe, like the beta bitch he is, after taking credit for the war crime and catching heat from Republicans, Hegseth now deflects responsibility for the war crime he ordered and assigns it to Admiral Bradley. Hegseth is a disgrace to the DOD and a national embarrassment. Yeah, no lies detected there. And this is pretty interesting. So Matt Iglesias dug this up. Interesting example of a clearly illegal order in the Pentagon's official manual on the law of war. This is section 18321. Clearly illegal orders to commit law of war violations. The requirement to refuse to comply with orders to commit law of war violations applies to orders to perform conduct that is clearly illegal or orders that the subordinate knows in fact are illegal. For example, orders to fire upon the shipwrecked would be clearly illegal. Clearly illegal. That is literally in the Pentagon's official manual on the law of war. And you could tell, this is the irony. You could tell they picked that example because they wanted to pick one where there would be no room for debate. Like, nobody's ever going to argue that that would be legal, right? Well, they couldn't have imagined this crew when they picked that example.
And I feel like before we go on, just very, very quickly, we should mention, because I know we're going to mention this in the next segment, they've still provided no evidence that these people are even the narco traffickers who they say they are. For all we know, these could just be innocent civilian fishermen. They've provided no evidence to the contrary.
Well, and even if they were not, the idea, according to people who have looked at the boats, who have some expertise in shipping and drug trafficking, if these boats are carrying drugs, they're carrying them to local ports because these types of boats would have to refuel 40 times
Oh, it's a very
to get
long
to
way.
the United States.
Yeah, of course.
So these are tiny boats. Even if they're drug trafficking, it's not to us. It has to be to someplace within South America. If they are. This is why you take people to court if you actually have a case to make. But of course, this has all been about developing a pretext to invade Venezuela.
Exactly.
That looks like really what this has all been about. But hey, there's a little problem. It's a little problem. Call sign old whiskey dick went on Fox News already and admitted that he had given the order for this.
The president is sending a message to other cartels, right?
A very clear one. I can tell you that was definitely not artificial intelligence. I watched it live. We knew exactly who was in that boat. We knew exactly what they were doing, and we knew exactly who they represented. And that was Tren de Aragua, a narco-terrorist organization designated by the United States, trying to poison our country with illicit drugs.
So you watched it live?
Watched it live. Little wrinkle in the story there. A little wrinkle in the story. Maybe you shouldn't have picked a Secretary of Defense based on Trump likes to watch him on TV.
Right.
Maybe that's an idea. This is kind of a running theme today because we're going to be doing Kash Patel a little later. It was very obvious as Trump was assembling this rogues gallery of a cabinet that these kinds of things were going to happen because you're not even talking about competent evil. You're talking about just crackpots and weirdos who would never get a job cleaning up the hallways at the Pentagon in any other administration, much less to be trying to run it. It's so clear none of these people are qualified.
Right.
There have been a lot of evil, highly qualified dudes. I mean, almost by definition, that you could say that describes most of the people, if not all of the people who have held high-ranking positions in the imperial government of the United States, particularly post-World War II. The basic competence is not there. It's just the psychopathic tendencies that all of these people have, but it's so mask off because they're not smart enough to know what the mask is even supposed to look like.
Right, of course. I mean, you look at a guy like Rumsfeld, just as evil as Hegseth, if not more,
Sure,
probably
sure.
more. But he
More.
was not crazy. He was not. He was
Right.
of sound mind, so he wouldn't fuck up like this, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
he could make $2.3 trillion disappear. No one even asked him a question about it. Imagine
Right.
trusting Hegseth with a job like that. Forget it. Wouldn't last. Within 10 hours, they'd be digging duffel bags out from under your garage.
What the hell is this? Why did they deliver $2.3 million worth of Pez dispensers to my garage?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What
Exactly.
do you mean that's how you were hiding the money?
Wouldn't last a day. Exactly.
So from the Washington Post, Senator Roger Wicker, Republican Mississippi. This is part of what's interesting about it. The Republicans, at least thus far, are not having it. Who chairs the Senate Armed Services Committee, told reporters that he had spoken to Hegseth and the Joint Chiefs Chairman, General Dan Kane, and that he expects to speak with Bradley also. Wicker, whose committee is one of two in Congress that over the weekend opened an inquiry into the September 2nd operation, said he is seeking video and audio recordings of the strikes, and that once those materials are received, he will decide how to proceed. Quote, "We're going to find out what the true facts are," Wicker said. Bradley, who oversees U.S. Special Operations Command, is not widely known outside the community. A U.S. Naval Academy graduate, he came up through the ranks as a Navy SEAL and was one of the very first troops deployed to Afghanistan to strike the Taliban after the September 11th, 2001 attacks. Before assuming his current assignment, Bradley led the shadowy Joint Special Operations Command and oversaw special operations forces in the Middle East and the Naval Special Warfare Development Group, commonly known as SEAL Team 6. A U.S. official on Monday lamented that Bradley, who has kept a low profile throughout much of his career, was singled out by Leavitt in her statement at the White House earlier. Quote, whether he takes the blame or not, this official said, his reputation has been marred by this forever just by that statement. A spokesperson for Special Operations Command declined to comment. Now, see, this is the thing, and you see some of this in the Kash story too. It's not as if being a crazy crackpot like this is something that the military people are cool with. And then you go and throw one of their own under the bus like that. You think the rank and file military like that? You think they respected Pete Hegseth before this? Like, yes. And again, this comes up in the Kash thing. I'm sure a lot of them were glad to see the DEI stuff go. But, you know, there's more to running a military than getting rid of the Office of Anti-Racism. And on almost every level, if you're a serious military person, we're not getting into the morality of what the military does here, but just in terms of the basic competence of the job, you think that these professional military people don't know that they're being led by an incompetent drunk? Like you think they like having a guy like this leading them? You think they trust him? And now this effort to scapegoat somebody, which couldn't be more obvious, what do you think that's going to do to morale in the military? And what do you think that's going to do to the faith that they have in this administration? Not to do that to any of them. You know, they've been making a big stink the last couple of years about that video going out, not to follow illegal orders. And this came out right afterwards. Like, this is why you don't want to follow illegal orders, because everyone in that chain could be liable now. And look what they did to the guy who carried out the order. What do you think? They're going to be loyal to you? They're going to throw you under the bus and protect themselves. These people are fucking criminals. Everything they say about patriotism in America, it's a punchline. It's a joke. It's a sick veneer. It's a great example of the people who scream the loudest from the pulpit about gay people are the ones they catch in a bathroom looking for some trade from the next stall. It's a mask. It's a mask. They know how people respond to these claims of patriotism, and that's how they cover up what they're really about. They are fucking criminals. It's an entire cabinet of criminals.
Well, it's a really good point, obviously. I mean, this sets a very bad precedent for people in the military fearing that they'll be thrown under the bus by the Secretary of Defense or Secretary of War, if you will. Now, don't forget, obviously, this is all in order to create the pretext for a war in Venezuela. So
Right.
what if you actually have a war now? What if we
Right.
actually launch
Right.
a ground invasion of Venezuela? Who in the military is going to have confidence that their leader isn't going to throw them under the bus when
Right.
inevitably war crimes happen? War crimes always happen in war. So now you have these people having to serve under this belligerent drunk who, under pressure, will give them up in a second flat. Nobody's going to want to fight for him.
Right.
They'll bring the old Biden guard back. Have a trans first class sergeant tickle my balls 5 hours a day. I don't care. I'd rather that than this. Rather this than end up in fucking jail because your Secretary of Defense turns on you and throws you under the bus in 2 seconds. Of course, it's not even a question.
I predict part of the result of this is you're going to see another wave of resignations from people at the command level.
Well, yeah. Well, the guy. I mean, look, this was all foreseeable way back. What was it, a month or so ago, when the high-ranking guy resigned in advance of all this, because he saw the writing. He saw where this was going. He's like, I don't even want to be here for when it starts. Right? That guy's looking like the smartest guy in Washington right now, for sure.
This is what you're seeing on all sides. You know, the Department of Justice said that these actions in the Caribbean were legal Because half the Department of Justice resigned already. The ones who are left are the dregs, the scum. You're going to see a lot of that in the military. They're having a very hard time recruiting. That, to be fair, predates Trump. This is not going to help with recruiting people. They had a little bump when Trump came in, because they're going to get rid of the two mommies commercials and all that. So you had some of the kind of people who didn't want to join because of that joined. But yeah, this does not send a good message, even to people like that who believe in the mission of the military, like the culture of the military. What does this tell you? This violates everything those people believe in. Not leaving a man on the field, not betraying your comrades. It's very, very bad, but they're short-term thinkers.
Yep, exactly. George says, Pickleback Pete, did you order the code red? Thank you, George. Appreciate that. And thanks for the $50, George. Appreciate that very much. Let's have a cowbell for George from Haifa. All right, what do we got over here? We got Eric Rousseau says Russ needs the yellow fever vax so he doesn't come back married. Yeah, there you go. Soda 748. What happened to not relying on foreign countries for our resources? I guess it's Soylent Green for me now that beef is off the table. There you go. Stoop Sign says, question for Keaton. From age 8 till 11, I went to the local community center for after-school programs where I would do homework and played trumpet. Normal for millennials. From 8 to 11, local community center for after-school programs. Yeah, I mean, I never went because my parents mostly worked from home. So my parents never needed extended childcare because they worked from the house. But yeah, I mean, that was fairly normal. I know kids who did after-school programs. Yeah, it wasn't not a thing. Stoop Sign, Jim Short capitalism and increasingly sagging balls by due dissidents. There you go. Thank you, Stoop Sign. Appreciate that. Noah Goop says French Foreign Legion is fighting in Ukraine. Not sure where else though.
So okay, all right. I mean, are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's Noah. Noah made that claim.
Yeah, well, I'm asking him.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, maybe we'll get a follow-up.
Honestly, this is something I've thought about. Okay, I knew the French Foreign Legion still exists, but what would they do? They don't have Indochina anymore. What would they do? They don't have Algeria.
Right. EO Shush says, sorry about your loss. I know you busted your ass to be anti-Semite of the year. Next year, try diversifying your hate. Maybe a children's book about feeding starving Palestinian kids as a good thing. Yeah, exactly. We'll give it a shot.
Maybe a turtle firing on Gaza.
Yeah, yeah, right. Maybe Franklin joins the IDF, right? Raven Last says DD kicking ass and taking names, or in RFK Jr.'s case, eating ass and taking names. Keep on fighting the good fight. Thank you very much. Stoop Sign says Franklin retreats into shell amidst yard pummeling, followed by video game carbon character throws shell at Bowser, the toughest guy at yard time. Thank you, Stoop Sign. Appreciate that. All right, we'll take a few super chats.
All right, so this, yes, I meant to put up a program note about this. Rob Barr say, hey dudes, in that Smotrich segment, Russell included 2 clips. I mean, it was 1 clip, but with 2 clips in it, of kids with assault rifles. Those clips are not of Israeli children, they're of Russian children. Both were filmed in Crimea in 2023. Yeah, we had a few comments up. The thing is, if you don't cut something out of a clip within an hour, you can't. You would have to take the whole clip down. Every other clip is accurate. I was just like, fuck it. But yes, there was 1 clip. I mean, it's tricky.
No, we can still cut it out.
Okay.
I can still go in and edit it, yeah.
Oh, I thought you have to do that within an hour. Didn't you tell me that once?
No, I don't think so. No. Within an hour. No, I don't think so. You can always edit it out. Yeah, just let me know and I'll edit it out.
Where did I get that from?
Maybe that's I think you're confusing YouTube videos with tweets. I think if you fail to edit your tweet within an hour, it has to stay up. But a YouTube video, you could always go in and edit. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, so you know what? We'll cut it because I was made aware of that very shortly after the clip dropped, but I didn't tell Keaton because I didn't think he could cut it. Yeah. But yes, all the other clips are accurate. And you know what, man? I could very easily, and now I wish I had. There are some clips of them at summer camp In fact, I almost used images of that. I didn't because I felt like that clip covered it. There are images of these kids at summer camp being trained as IDF soldiers. Like I could just replace it with a clip like that.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you. I meant to do that as a show note today. Michael Castillo, my previous chat was in reference to Candace Owens. Candace Owens, woman of our dreams. Woman of our dreams.
She's supposedly going to have something coming out tonight. Maybe we'll cover that Thursday.
You know, man, Tulsi is so quiet these days. We never get to use our sound drop.
Yeah, maybe that'll be Candace's too.
We're gonna have to give that to Candace.
Nuzzy, that'll be Olivia Nuzzy's too. We'll have to play that for her also.
Yeah, it's always a lot. There's Skyzar 4100. It's always a lot easier to digest when you remember who's the one supplying missiles to combat scary people on the other side.
That's right.
All right. Ashra Hanif. Hi guys, long time no speak. Keep up the good work and laughter. Glad to hear Keaton is a fellow Sagittarius. Celebrate next Friday, 1 foot closer to the grave. Free Palestine. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Wow.
What day is your birthday on?
I'm flattered you remember that. I guess it's next Friday. I don't know. I didn't keep track.
Is it next Friday?
Oh no, it's Monday. So it's the Monday. So
it's this Monday or next Monday?
Next Monday, the 15th. So we don't have a show that day. So my birthday show will be the 14th.
All right. The wife's gonna take you out.
Yeah. We might go. We've been spending my birthday in like Saratoga last few years. That's fun. Saratoga is very fun.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So maybe we'll do something like that. All right. Very well. All right. That's
You're a funny motherfucker.
Yeah. What did I have to? I thought I was gonna say something. What was it? Did we have a program note? Something like that? No, nothing. All right. Maybe it's just me.
Not for me.
All right. Well, I guess we can move right on. Oh yeah, that was the program note. We're at 1961 in the chat, 571 in the like column. Let's hit that like button. So far, we're at 608 on Rumble, 140 likes, 572 likes on YouTube. So let's smash that like button so we can get to 666 by the end of this next segment, please and thank you. All right, let's go ahead.
Okay. So, old Whiskey Dick Pete, as his old army buddies used to call him, that was his call sign. At least that's what Washington Post reports. He put this out in the middle of questions of whether he's a war criminal, probably after a few belts from the old bottle there. For your Christmas wish list, Franklin targets narco-terrorists. That is the smartest thing to put out when you're on the verge of being tried for war crimes. So Mark Kelly here has kind of become a bête noir for the Chuds. Talked about this and other things regarding Pete Hegseth.
I was talking about this from the beginning of this operation, that the thing that I am most concerned about is the very difficult situations that this Secretary of Defense is going to put service members into. And it's because this guy is so unqualified for the job. I mean, think about this. He runs around on a stage talking about lethality and warrior ethos and killing people. We have the most competent, capable military this planet has ever seen by far. That's not the message.
Not what the Viet Cong
needs
say.
To come from the Secretary of Defense. The message should be about what's our mission and accountability and the rule of law and training. And let me make sure you're equipped to do really hard jobs. Let me give you all the tools you need to do something that often is an impossible mission. And instead, he runs around on a stage like he's a 12-year-old playing Army. And it is ridiculous. It is embarrassing. And I can't imagine what our allies think of looking at that guy in this job, one of the most important jobs in our country. In my view, after the President of the United States, it is the next most important job. He is in the National Command Authority for Nuclear Weapons. And last night, he's putting out on the internet turtles with rocket-propelled grenades. Have you seen this? This is the Secretary of Defense. This is not a serious person. He should have been fired after Signalgate. And then every single day after that.
He belongs in the brig.
Okay, all right. So I hate to tell you this. I hate to tell you this. If anyone out there watching our show is a fan of this administration, the reason you're seeing 52-point swings in Trump districts is because you lost the normie fight.
Right.
You had Rachel Levine out there as the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Yeah, most Americans, whatever you think about that, are not down with that. They think that's weird when you put someone like that in that position. Most Americans looking at Pete Hegseth and Mark Kelly are going to find Mark Kelly a lot more appealing and a lot more plausible. Yes, there is a whole idiocracy ecosystem that follows Benny in the closet and Gunther Eagleman, although most of them are increasingly bots. But those people are out there. This is what I voted for. That's a definite contingent, a shrieking one, but they exist. You lost the battle to define what normal is, or to define yourself as being more within those bounds than your enemies. Mark Kelly is looking like a pretty normal guy compared to this fucking crew. How many people do you think would see the Secretary of Defense tweet out something like that and not be aghast? That's not normal people. You made a plausible argument that the other ones were the freaks. And for anyone who wanted to pay attention, it was never really a good argument. You got Hulk Hogan going up on a fucking stage to endorse Donald Trump. You got Elon running around with a chainsaw with Mr. Afuera over there. They were always fucking freaks. But now the other side has played down their freaks. They've pushed them out of the spotlight and they're pushing forward, which politically is the right move. People like Mark Kelly, normies like Mark Kelly, people like that will appeal to the normies. And they told the Rachel Levines, listen, we don't literally want you to go back in the closet, but could you get in the closet for a little while? I mean, not literally, like figuratively, because we need the bald military veteran representing us right now. You're really not what we need. Anything, Keaton?
Well, even on the Rachel Levine score, now you got the guy there who's fucking sucks Hep B out of women's assholes.
Right. Rachel Levine is looking pretty mainstream by comparison to Secretary Felcher,
the guy who extracts hepatitis B from the rectum for pleasure.
Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time even on that level arguing that you're the normies now.
Oh, what a world.
But speaking of in the closet, here's Benny. Senator, and this shows you how little argument they have. There's pretty weak tea from Benny here. Senator Mark Kelly, who committed sedition, is losing his mind over Secretary of War Pete Hegseth's viral post of the Franklin targets narco-terrorists meme. Did he seem like he was losing his mind to you? Did he seem like he was losing his mind to you?
Yeah, that guy was crazy. That guy was nuts.
Yeah, he seemed exasperated. He
He
seemed
should
like
say what he means, or else he belongs in the brig.
Yeah, he seemed like a guy who has decided he's not going to shut up, even as this clearly criminal administration threatens to put him in jail for speech, for saying things that, frankly, are common sense. Yeah, you should not follow an illegal order. That's right there in the Pentagon's own manual. You're not supposed to follow illegal orders by definition. Because they're fucking illegal.
Right.
Okay, so you just saw Mark Kelly. Now here's another patriot, Nick Sorter here. This just dropped today. Just in, Secretary Hegseth makes. All right, so we were talking about this earlier. I always get Nick Sorter's account confused with Eric Doherty's account. Now it's ironic because Nick Sorter is the one who exposed Sodagate, and Eric Doherty was one of the ones who were caught. But they have basically the same account stylistically. The way they make their points, it's not like Gunther Eagleman. I love this shit. I could watch this shit all day. They don't do that. They basically make their statements with caps and emphasis. So Secretary Hegseth makes all caps very clear. The fake news will not deter him from striking narco-terrorists hauling drugs to the U.S. So let's see what old Whiskey Dick had to say here.
We've only just begun striking narco boats and putting narco terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people. And Joe Biden tried to approach it with kid gloves and allowed them to come across the border. Cartels take over community, 20 million people, hundreds of thousands of Americans poisoned. And President Trump said, no, we're taking the gloves off. We're taking the fight to these designated terror organizations, and it's exactly what we're doing. So we're stopping the drugs, we're striking the boats, we're defeating narco terrorists, and we're standing.
And you may say one thing, that drugs coming in through the sea by sea are down 91%.
I'm not sure either, sir.
But down 91% by sea.
We've had a bit of a pause because it's hard to find boats to strike right now, which is the entire point. Right? Deterrence has to matter, not arrest and hand over and then do it again, the rinse and repeat approach of previous administrations. This is meant to get after that approach.
Give him another vitamin B shot. We need to do another one of these later on. Yeah,
to see an explosion in the fish population too, because nobody's going to be out there.
Nobody's going to be fishing.
Yeah.
So who seems like a fucking weirdo to you? These guys, this shaky drunk, and this serial con man, or Mark Kelly? Like who do you think the average American finds more credible and appealing? Look, the Republicans very often, until you got this crew of fucking freaks in office, they've been very good at playing to certain tropes of how Americans like to see themselves, even when they themselves are not that at all. George Bush is a great example. He learned how to talk kind of like these West Texas roughnecks. So he came off like a guy of the soil, even though you couldn't be more of an American aristocrat than George Bush. To some extent, that's true of Trump too. You know, his origin story, I've often said, he sounds like a guy from a bar in my neighborhood. Trump grew up about 2 miles away from where I grew up. He hung around on the construction sites. That's how he picked up that demeanor and that mannerism. But overall, these people just come off as fucking weirdos. Like they are not able to present that, very usually fake kind of, yeah, I'm a real American. They don't even come off like that. Like Pete always seems like he is on the verge of having to check himself into rehab. He seems like your very shaky cousin that you always lend money to, that you're going to have to give a ride to the rehab place, and you hope this time it sticks.
Yeah, this is the uncle on Long Island that you run into once a year, and he forgets you're not a Ranger fan. So he starts ranting on about hockey as if you care, and you don't. And he can't tell that you don't. He just keeps going as if you're really interested in what he has to say.
Now, Nick, I didn't know this about Nick, but maybe this is why he needs the money. It seems that Lil Nicky Sorter is still on probation in Kentucky. This is from October, and has an alcohol review coming up in just 11 days. It would be a shame if his probation officer got a hold of the arrest report and video of Nicky clearly showing him assaulting a woman in the state of Oregon. Now, we are just reporting. I don't know if that's true. This is what the poster claims.
Yeah, I don't. I think
it-
I know what he's talking about. I think that's exaggerated. They arrested him. He was covering the protests, and they had him arrested. Yeah.
Oh, is that what he's talking
Yeah,
about?
it didn't seem
Is
like
that
he
what he's
did
talking
anything.
about?
I think that was bullshit. Yeah.
Okay, but this element, he's pulling up official records, so it looks like he is under.
He's got some kind of legal problem.
He,
Yeah.
he is under probation, and he had, at least at this time, he had an outstanding fine. So it turns out that being a patriot must not pay as much as we think it pays. And ironically, Nick Sorter kind of revealed that by breaking Sodagate, right? These guys were willing to throw Maha under the bus for a few $100s, man.
Yeah.
Few $100s, man. So how much money could they really have? So I guess he doesn't have that 869 there. So he's got a simp for Pete. But the queen here, the white Santa fetishist herself, Megyn Kelly, she was the topper. She kind of gets off on war crimes. She doesn't just get off on white Santas. She gets off on war crimes, apparently.
Really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken.
And you know who doesn't last a long time? Pete. We'll talk later. We'll talk later over some drinks.
Taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people.
Yeah. I see what you did there. I was late on that joke. I see what you did there. Doesn't last a long time. There you go. Okay,
There you go. So Mark Halperin, it's funny with guys like Mark Halperin who get driven out of polite society, who just have to kind of take what they could get. Because you could see Mark Halperin, who was a respectable journalist at one time,
whether they're on the boat or in the water.
Whatever,
but I'd really like to see them
worth,
suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it
being
last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys.
Why? Why did I ask that girl to ride my non-existent
by the
mustache?
initial bomb, but because they
I didn't even have one,
ejected,
for God's sakes.
a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people.
I thought the same exact thing. Like, this is the price you pay for having a Me Too scandal, right? Like, now you are just forced to sit there while this lunatic rants just this deranged, sadistic, homicidal nonsense. You know what I thought of this? Because Kern spoke at Kelly's event a couple weeks ago. You put the four of them on a podcast where Kern and Kelly rant on the top two frames, and then you have Matt and this guy just sit there. Okay. All right. I see what you say. Okay. All right. Yeah. I get it.
For God's sake, will you let me change the subject? Please, dear God, let me change the subject.
the top half of the screen is these two ranting. The bottom half is just these guys rolling their eyes, being like, what are we going to do? That's what I thought. Because,
look at his face. Look at his face.
Like, what are you gonna do? You can't stick up for yourself because she's one of the only people who will have you on because you're a disgraced person. You can't get on like TV anymore, so you have to sit there and take this. No, it is absolutely brutal. First of all,
it's really interesting how these conservatives are so into rehabilitating sex criminals.
Yeah,
they all want to interview Woody Allen.
Yeah, now Woody Allen too.
Best case scenario, he married his, people will jump out to point this out. He never legally adopted her, but he fucking raised Sun Yi. He raised her and then he married her. That's not disputable. I thought you people are for these conservative values and you're obsessed with PDF files, right? Or you were. Until Daddy told you it's a Democrat hoax and you had to change the subject. Why would you go I can understand if your whole grift is oriented around kissing up to Trump while you would get off the Epstein files. Why would you go out of your way to rehabilitate Woody Allen? Mark Halperin, why? Why? Oh, the woke media went after him. I thought this is the kind of thing that you care about.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely insane. So I just want to play this because it's a short clip, but there's just so much to talk about here.
So I really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer.
Okay, first of all, as we mentioned in the last segment, you still don't know who these people are who you're wishing this upon. For all we know, these could just be fishermen. Like, you don't know that these are narco traffickers who you're wishing dismemberment. Now, it's funny how Trump goes from the peace president to the dismemberment president now. Now it's not enough that they killed him. Now they should actually suffer. They should lose limbs and bleed out in the water. You don't even know who you're talking about.
I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water.
That's a red herring, whether you have sympathy for them or not. It has nothing to do with whether or not it's a war crime. It is a war crime. And, I saw somebody tweet this out in response to this, that Sirius should really drop her, or people should boycott Sirius until they drop her. I'm actually for that. Like, this is so beyond the pale and so sadistic. I do think Sirius should drop her. Now, that's not deplatforming. It would be deplatforming if, like, anybody could get on Sirius. If Sirius were a social media platform and Russ and I could start a channel on Sirius and the rule of Sirius is that anybody could post their content, then to throw her off of that would be deplatforming. But that's not what Sirius is. Sirius selects certain creators and gives them deals and pays them and makes them a part of the company, right? So to can someone over that is not out of bounds. It's like ABC canning Jimmy Kimmel for making a wrong joke or something. I think that should be on the table. Like, that is just beyond the pale. It is just so unbelievably sadistic and cruel and thoughtless and idiotic. Like, I don't think it's out of bounds for people to, like, say, hey, you know what? You shouldn't pay her to create that. Again, I'm not saying she should be thrown off YouTube, because YouTube is a social media platform where the concept is everybody has access. So she should have access to all the socials. Should a company like Sirius be paying this woman to put that shit out? No. And I mean, I can't imagine subscribing to Sirius now when you can get any music you want for $5 a month on Apple or whatever. But if you do subscribe, yeah, you should fucking boycott that. Like, that's fucking obscene to have someone on the air saying that shit, to be paying them to say that shit.
Yeah, and speaking of rehabilitating PDF files, this is the same Megyn Kelly who a couple of weeks ago started parsing out the definition of PDF files by claiming, if they're 15, well, that's not really being a PDF file.
Right. Like, she should be allowed to say that on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Fine. But should Sirius be paying her to say that? No, that's fucked up. I'm sorry. It is.
Well, boycotts are in bounds.
Yeah. Boycotts are in bounds.
Yeah. Like, if you want to boycott YouTube because you don't like somebody on it, then fine. But yeah, if you want to pressure Sirius to not have a contract with her, it really tells you how sick this movement, and I hesitate to use the word, has become, that someone like Megyn Kelly, who doesn't actually have political opinions other than just maybe general hatred of humans. But, I mean, what politics does she have? She
was celebrating trans teenagers 8 years ago. She was having them on her daytime NBC show.
When libs, she was getting rehabilitated by the libs because she was part of Me Too. Anyone who was part of Me Too, they got a little bump with liberal credibility. But no, I mean, these people are criminals. They are enemies of the people. They don't care what the consequences, what the social consequences of what they say are. It's all about how's it performing in the algorithm, how much does it appeal to my audience. And very much like, when I do my Weird New York tour, when I talk about Gigi Allen, I say, the reason you would get a Gigi Allen, for anyone who doesn't know, he was a punk rocker that was known for defecating on stage and rubbing it on himself and attacking the audience. Well, when you've got basically an aesthetic that's about offending society eventually you're going to get to that, right? Because you're going to have to keep doing this one-upsmanship. And eventually your one-upsmanship is going to bring you to the most disgusting extreme thing you can imagine. That is very much what you're seeing with that whole media ecosystem, with that whole podcast bro ecosystem that she's a part of. Like, they seem to feel like they have to keep getting sicker. They have to keep upping the ante to keep their audience happy and engaged. And the less they can defend what this administration is doing on its merits, the more they're trying to defend it on pure sadism and cruelty.
Well, yeah, because that's all this administration has to offer is sadism and cruelty.
Right.
Like, if they were actually building meatpacking plants rather than closing the ones that they already have, then they'd have something to talk about.
Sure.
Right. They'd have something to celebrate. They'd have something to tout. Right. If Trump actually ended the Ukraine war like he promised to within 24 hours of taking office, they'd get a lot of mileage out of that.
Right.
But they don't have any of that. All they have is misery and death and war and deprivation. And so all they can do is appeal to the lowest common denominator of the human psyche. Just scrape the shit off of the bottom of the barrel and pour water on that and hope it'll grow into something. Like, that's all you can do when your administration isn't giving you anything to work with except negativity. That's all that there is. Yep.
Right.
All right. Why don't we go to some super chats?
Doke. Tesla G. Now we know why RFK wouldn't debate Max. He was felching.
It was felch. Yeah.
It was felched. I'm feeling a little felched. Human person. They sent trafficked 1,400 plus Africans to fight in Ukraine on both sides. It's sick. Please look into this when you have time. It's going under the radar. You know what? Because I have a weird interest in the subject, I will. I am actually very curious about what the fuck the French Foreign Legion does in a post-colonial world.
Yeah.
Michael Castillo, 300 gigabytes have been scrubbed from the e-files. Dan Bongino has been scrubbing them since March. This administration can all boil in human excrement. That's what I've heard. I included something about that in my Kash segment about Bongino scrubbing the files. Mark Pugliese, do you remember when Hegseth was at some kind of function throwing full-sized axes at a fixed target and hit a marching band member behind the target? I do remember that.
I remember. That was a great video. That's one of the all-time great videos. Fucking, first of all, whose idea was it to have axe throwing on 6th Avenue in New York City with a fucking notorious drunk throwing an axe around? That was amazing. That was really funny.
Willie Bragg. The same Christian Zionist neocons of 2025 who praise Pete Hegseth and believe drug cartels off of Venezuela are the same morons believing Rush Limbaugh 20 years ago about so-called WMDs in Iraq. Yeah, I would agree, but it's gotten worse, man. It's gotten worse. They didn't have social media then, man. Social media has made it possible to just put people's head in a bubble that they can't get out of in a way that just wasn't possible back then.
Right. Like, you're right. Like, social media, it can be liberating, but it can also be very confining depending on the person, right? Like, if you seek an echo chamber, you can find one. If you seek open mind, if you seek enlightenment, you can find it, right? But it is what you make of it. And yeah, what Russ says is true. A lot of people just confine themselves to, Nick Sorter and wokeness, Gunther Eagle. That's it. That's all they absorb. Furrow Squeen says UK was sending Italian POWs in World War II when it got torpedoed. Our side, the good guys, shot holes in the lifeboats the Italians were in. Look up SS Arandora. Got a posthumous apology and a plaque. Thanks, Furrow Squeen. Everything's a scam. Everything's a lie. Fuck, I hate the holidays. Please let them pass on by. Thank you, Vienticus. Stoop Sign says, I know where I can order fentanyl strength chemicals to your doorstep. I have experience ordering bath salts, pyrochemicals to my doorstep. Either Strike Meridian, California, Mexico, or China, not Coke Roots. Oh, George, thanks for the $50. Oh, George, let's have another cowbell for
Damn, making it rain today. Making it rain.
Almost forgot. Professor Morandi, should you and other podcasters Professor Morandi shouted you and other podcasters out for speaking about Israel. He referred to you as the gentleman from DD. How insulting,
did
right? Gentleman, my ass. Yeah. Where was that?
Where was that?
Yeah, where was that? That's great. Yeah, no,
I
he
would love
said
to see that. That's cool.
yeah, when we met him, that was one of the craziest days we've ever done. We were interviewing him on the Jimmy Dore show on the day when he was being evacuated from all of his little
Right.
makeshift
Yeah.
studios. He was afraid Israel was trying to kill him. And so we got to talk to him, and he said, "Yeah, we're fans over here. You're famous." So thanks, Professor Morandi. Appreciate that. That's cool.
See, that is, if things kind of settle down to a low boil, that is my next major trip. I plan on going to that part of the world. So that would be pretty cool if they know us.
Yeah.
Over there.
Well, Blumenthal went, and they walked him around. You know, they did a bunch of videos together. Yeah. All right. We will move right on along here. Okay, folks. So on the last show, we talked a lot about remigration, since the Trump administration is really using the tragic murder of the National Guard member in D.C. last week as a pretext to push remigration, even though the shooter was a groomed CIA asset. Nobody wants to talk about that anymore, but it's something I think we should mention as a precursor to this segment here. But yesterday, Secretary Ducklips, Kristi Noem, says, "I just met with the president. I am recommending a full travel ban on every damn country that's been flooding our nation with killers, leeches, and entitlement junkies." Wow. I mean, you really can't tell the difference between the rantings of your drunk racist uncle and these people anymore. Like, it's just, they're starting to just use the exact same language. Our forefathers built this nation on blood, sweat, and the unyielding love of freedom, not for foreign invaders to slaughter our heroes, suck dry our hard-earned tax dollars, or snatch the benefits owed to Americans. We don't want them. None. Okay, for the foreign invaders who slaughter our heroes, he was a CIA asset. He was recruited and groomed by the CIA. He was not an invader. We plucked him out of his home population and turned him into what he ended up being, which was a psychotic murderer who snapped and tragically killed a National Guardswoman. That's not a foreign invader. That is a deep state experiment gone wrong for the umpteenth time.
Yeah.
Okay. But now she retweets this from the official Homeland Security account. Every damn country, the third world countries. So Nick Gillespie.
It's eerie how similar it is.
Exactly. So Nick Gillespie from, I think, Reason Magazine, libertarian writer, makes a good observation. He says, so no more South Dakotans. Got it. Right? You're talking about people who leech off of our entitlement programs. Look at that. States paying more federal tax than they receive, and states who pay less than they receive. So in purple are the states who pay less federal tax than they take in. In other words, the taker states. Yeah, North and South Dakota. Kristi Noem, South Dakota, one of the taker states. And oddly enough, look at one of the donor states. They actually call these donor states, you know, the states that actually put more into the federal government than they take out of it, like New York, like California, like Washington. And to be fair, a couple of red states there too, Texas, Florida, Tennessee. But look at up there, right near South Dakota, that state just to the right, the yellow state, the kind of big one, that's Minnesota. Minnesota is a donor state. Minnesota contributes more to the federal government than they take back from it, despite the invasion of Somalis that we hear about all the time recently. So here's Donald Trump talking about how the Somalians in Minnesota are ripping us off.
The question behind?
Me? Hi, sir. Happy
Sure.
Thanksgiving.
Hi.
What do the Somalians have to do with this Afghan guy who shot the national?
Nothing, but Somalians have caused a lot of trouble. They're ripping us off for a lot of money. There's a tremendous amount of money going back to Somalia. What the hell are we paying money to Somalia for? But they're ripping off our country at a level that few people have been able to see before. That's about the only thing. You talk about competence. We have Ilhan Omar, who does nothing but complain about our country and our Constitution. And she comes from a country with practically no country. It's devastated, it's crime-ridden, it's a mess, it's a disgrace. And we took their people at a tremendous... We're not taking their people anymore. We're not taking their people. And we're getting a lot of their people out because they're nothing but trouble. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Go ahead.
Wow. Wow. Here's Carolyn Levitt expanding on this point, talking about the Somali immigrants who have taken over Minnesota and who are ripping off American taxpayers. Now, remember, folks, Minnesota is a donor state. Minnesota gives more. They generate more tax revenue for the federal government than they take back from the federal government. So keep that in mind as we hear this next piece.
During your topper, you said, and I quote, leaders also have a duty to preserve the integrity and character of our nation's national identity. Can you explain what you mean by our nation's national identity and integrity and character, and how would refugees, people coming from war-torn places who are seeking a safe haven in America, like many of our forebears in this room, not add to our nation's integrity and character of our national identity?
I'll tell you what does not add to our nation's character and integrity is refugees who come here under the alleged plight of asylum and fleeing persecution, and then come to the United States to abuse our system and rip off American taxpayers. And as I pointed out, the New York Times, to their credit, it was about 6 months too late, but they did write about how Somali immigrants in Minnesota have been ripping off American taxpayers. In fact, 86 people have been charged in a rampant and widespread fraud scheme.
86 people have been charged in a widespread fraud. 86, that's widespread. You know how many Somalis live in the city of Minneapolis? 80,000. So you're saying 1 in every 1,000 of them was implicated in this entitlement fraud scheme. That doesn't seem very widespread to me. Seems like a very, very small percentage of Somalis in the city who are wrapped up in this.
Spanning multiple programs in Minnesota. Of those 86, 78 of those people are Somali, 91% of them charged.
Oh, so 78 are Somali and 91. Okay, so now we're down to what, 71? 71 people now? 71 Somalis out of 80,000?
So far, 59 of those people have been convicted for their roles in fraud plots that have stolen
so now we're 59.
$1 billion from taxpayers.
It gets lower and lower. It goes from 86 to 78 to 70.
It's like Doge.
To 59. It's like Doge. So remember, she's talking about 59 people who have been convicted of some sort of fraud crime in a state that, on a whole, gives more to the federal government than it takes. Unlike the secretary of DHS. Unlike her state, South Dakota, which is a taker state, as Elon Musk would say. So obviously, this is not about resources, not about being ripped off. This is pretty obvious to everyone that this is about profiling people who we don't like from places we don't like and sending them back based on their race. Plain and simple. That's obviously what this is. But of course, they don't want to come out and say that. They don't want to come out and say that directly, even though Donald Trump walks right up to that line. We don't like them. We don't need them. Here's Nancy Mace going to torturous lengths to avoid answering Piers Morgan's question, because good for Piers Morgan, he tries his best to pin her down on what she finally admits at the end of this clip, which is, if they look suspicious, I want them out. So deportations based on pre-crime based on what? If you look suspicious. But watch how she tries so hard to wiggle out of this.
In terms of action moving forward, there are those who are calling for the deportation of all Afghans who came into the US via the GAW, the Gore program. Do you support that?
I support deporting everybody at this point. I mean, I'm looking at the Somalis in places like Michigan and Minnesota that are using autism money from the government to fund terrorism. At this point, I want everybody out. I just can't.
But what do you mean by everybody out?
People that are coming to our country and doing harm, stealing government money, marrying.
Yeah, but that's different. If they commit a crime, then
That is a crime, though. That is fraud. Is a
You
crime.
see what she's trying to do? She's trying to wiggle out of actually answering the question, and he doesn't let her. So it's actually a good job by Piers Morgan here.
No, sorry, just to be clear. No, to be clear, if they commit a crime, yes, I think there's absolutely they should be deported.
There are a lot of
But what about
and there are a lot of-
the many people who have not committed crimes who've come from Afghanistan or Somalia?
Well, we have a history in our country of embracing people who've come from war-torn countries and are seeking asylum,
Right.
who are seeking those sorts of things. Those are the things that America believes in and we support.
Right. Oh yeah. But
But we've allowed all these people in who have broken. We've allowed people to illegally cross our border, steal money from our government, and just get away with it.
right. And as Piers Morgan has established now, 3 times in the last minute, that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about mass deportations based on suspicion, which you eventually admit, but we're still a ways away from that.
And I'm quite frankly, like most Americans, sick and tired of it. And then I don't want us to turn into Europe or the EU. You're seeing what's going on over there, and
Okay, by the way, moron, he is over there. You're talking to a guy who lives over there. We don't want to see what's happening over there where you are in Somali occupied Britain.
if we continue down the path we are on right now, we're going to be just like them, and we can't have that here.
Right, but just to be clear, then, because I'm not quite clear what your position is. You would
now is the 4th time he's asking you.
Deport all Afghanis and all Somalians in the United States?
Those who are committing crimes or at risk of committing crimes, I want them out.
At risk of committing crimes. Okay, so we got that out of you finally. Now, what do you mean at risk of committing crimes?
Out of the country.
Those who've committed crimes, I'm with you. But those who look like they're likely to, how do you assess that?
Well, we were just talking about the vetting process. If they look suspicious, I want them out. At this point, I don't even care.
There you go.
I want the safety
don't
of our
care.
country to be primary concern number one. And that's what President Trump is doing. He's the one that's looking at it. He's cleaning up the problem that Joe Biden created. And I fully support it. I mean, I want to crack down. I don't want anybody coming from any of these countries of concern. I'm fine with stopping all immigration from Afghanistan or Pakistan, these places where people are coming in and appear to try to be doing harm. I want it to stop. We've got to look out for American citizens. We have to put them first.
Okay, so there you go. Finally.
We have introduced what we call the potato salad test. If they won't eat potato salad, they're out of here.
Exactly. Well, that is essentially what she's saying. And he finally squeezed it out of her. That, hey, if you look suspicious and you're from one of these unstable, war-torn countries or crime-ridden countries, that we want you out. But, I could think of one unstable, crime-ridden country that they may be talking about, and that's South Africa. So let's take a look here. This is from Carolyn Levitt's press conference yesterday. Refugee admissions into the country right now are essentially at zero, with the exception, of course, of Afrikaners fleeing persecution in South Africa. South Africa is a very high crime rate. A lot of crime in South Africa. Those are the kinds of countries, with all the crime that Trump wants to keep people out from. But there is one exception. Of course.
That the Trump administration has done more to limit migration, both illegal and legal, than any administration in history. And I'll just walk you through some of the actions that we have taken thus far. Number one, the Trump administration issued a travel ban for 19 countries, including Afghanistan, special immigrant visas, which is a legal pathway to get here, which we know many Afghans have utilized to come into the country, have now been paused since the tragic shooting last week. Refugee admissions were suspended for Afghans from this administration on day one, and refugee admissions into the country right now are essentially at zero, with the exception of Afrikaners fleeing persecution in South Africa.
I mean, why she would go out of her way to bring that up?
Right, no one even asked.
No one even asked. No one even asked you about that. Like, why would you bring that up? That's like in The Sopranos when they're making peace with New York, and then little Carmine blurts out that thing with your kid brother, whatever happened there, and it pisses him off again. He's like, whatever happened there, you're a piece of shit cousin. That's like this. Like, why would you even say that? Nobody even pressed you on that. Why would you?
They're very proud of it.
Yeah, like you're exactly. They're proud of it. Like, I have not seen such overt racism from a government from this government in my lifetime. Now, I'm a young guy. I'm sure people older than me have, right? Because people have lived through some shit that I haven't lived through. I was born in the 80s. I've been paying attention to politics since 2000. I've never seen it this on the nose.
I mean, I
in my
guess
life.
if you went back to Reagan, the
Yeah,
welfare
I'm sure. Like I said, I'm
cleaning
sure.
and he was very resistant to taking action against South Africa. That was kind of like the final battle over that at that time.
No, sure. I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm not saying it's unprecedented. I'm just saying, in my personal experience, I've never seen anything this on the nose. That's how just unbelievable this is. And here are the Afrikaners, by the way. Here are the persecuted Afrikaners arriving safe at last. Afrikaners fleeing persecution in South Africa is like the dumbest thing I've heard in recent memory. To them, it is persecution that they can no longer subjugate their neighbors. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But a lot of crime in South Africa. A lot of crime. South Africa has the world's third highest murder rate behind only Jamaica and Honduras, and 6 times the U.S. average, with no other African nation even close. So if there's so much crime in South Africa and it's so unstable, why are we taking their people in? Well, we're taking in innocent people who want to flee an unsafe country. If they're the white ones. If they're black ones, we don't take them in, even though if you look, official South African crime statistics that black South Africans are disproportionately represented as both victims and perpetrators of most crimes, especially violent ones like murder. White South Africans, as a percentage of their population, have lower rates of both victimization and offending for most crime categories. The majority of murder victims nationwide are poor, under or unemployed young black males. Research indicates that while white South Africans make up approximately 8% of the population, they account for less than 2% of murder victims. Surveys indicate that significantly fewer white South Africans report fearing crime in their homes compared to black South Africans. So if the white South Africans are so persecuted, not only are they victimized less, they fear crime less. They're not living in fear of crime as much as their black counterparts. So if this were not a racist policy, what we would say is, hey, if you're a black person living in South Africa who's not a criminal and you feel unsafe in South Africa because it has a very high violent crime rate, then we should welcome you here, right? I mean, we're welcoming the white ones, and there's far fewer white ones who are victims of crime and who fear being victimized by crime. But no, we're singling out the white ones. That's what Levitt just said. The Afrikaners, they are the exception, not any South African. So if a black law-abiding South African is afraid he's going to be victimized by violent crime, as he is statistically much more likely to be than his white counterpart, he can't come. He can't come. No, we don't want him. We want his white neighbor.
Yeah.
I mean, you tell me what this is. You tell me what this is. I mean, it is unbelievable. And this, like I said, I have never seen such overt racism from the government in my lifetime. And once again, to remind everybody, these are the election results from last month. These are the margins amongst males, females, whites, and the bottom 4 bars on both the left and the right, left being New Jersey, right being Virginia. Those are the margins that Republicans are losing by among non-white voters. Blacks, 94% blue in New Jersey, 92% blue in Virginia. Hispanics, 68 and 67% blue, respectively. Asians, 83 and 79% blue, respectively. This is why. Like, there is absolutely no way you can talk like this and win a midterm, win any race that non-white people are allowed to vote in. As long as non-white people are allowed to vote and their vote is not suppressed through all kinds of fuckery, which it can be, and it has been in the past, and it could be in the future. Like I said, it would not surprise me to see ICE doing election supervising, right? Checking people's papers as they vote, right? They can't win like this. Like, this is just it. I've never seen anything so mask off. And these numbers are going to look mild compared to what the midterms look like if they keep this up. You can't be so overtly hostile to non-white people and expect to win in a country where non-white people represent a decent percentage of the population and they have voting rights. It's just not sustainable. It's not tenable. It's not viable, but they're doing it anyway because this, as we said in the previous segment, this is all they have. They're not opening meat plants, they're closing meat plants. They're not making peace, they're starting war in Venezuela. Like, what else do they have besides this? They have painted themselves in a corner, and the only way out of that corner is to flip the board, because even on immigration, their numbers are underwater now because of shit like most people are not for this. Most people are not for this. There was a new poll that came out from YouGov that said 35% of Americans want less immigration. Well, what that tells you is that 65% want the same or more. This is a very small minority of people who this plays well to. And this is why this administration is just in a downward spiral that they're not going to be able to get themselves out of.
Yeah, far be it for me to go off brand by being an optimist on this show. But I will say this is a case of it's darkest before the dawn.
Yes, of course.
This is so desperate because it's the last stand of these people, and that's why they're going all out and pulling out all the stops. This trick of convincing poor white people, at least you're not one of those people, and keeping them from rebelling against capital through that tactic, that's really as old as the country.
Yeah,
it really is. This is the newest, latest manifestation of it. But in a country where there really aren't jobs for the kinds of people that this is directed at, they have to get increasingly insane and just transparently deceptive in their messaging. When we did those initial stories about the South African genocide, Jesus Christ, did we get it? Jesus Christ, did we get
I
it?
was putting this together.
So who was that for? Who was that for? Who were these white people, almost all men, when at least in the comments, who are being brainwashed into seeing what's going on in South Africa an emergency, an absolute emergency, a travesty that they need to be deeply emotional about? It's people whose lives suck, who have no prospect for anything better. You got to give them an explanation. That's the function these narratives have always served. It's giving you an explanation. What's the explanation? It's those people. We're going to protect you from those people. And the more time goes on and they don't deliver anything for these people that they've frankly bamboozled, they have to keep coming up with more and more elaborate reasons that they should not direct all that anger at them. At them. Elon, I might do something on this Sunday. His feed is just one post after another about white grievance and white oppression, like more than normal. It's like one after the other, just trying to gin up race hatred. It's the last stand of these people. You know, we were talking about this on the show the other day. Church attendance in the Bible Belt has collapsed. Like this whole white nationalist, distorted, I'm not blaming Christianity, but I think any Christian would agree there is a strain of Christianity that cooperates with this kind of racist white nationalism. And this is a strain that they rely on for their base, but it's collapsing. This is what I'm saying. The next generation is not into this. Any poll will show you that. This is really, it looks dark, but it's the last stand of these people. Most people don't want this. The only way they maintain power is with a coup, which you can't put past them.
Right.
Whether it's an overt coup or a covert one where they just suppress voting in the midterms to the point that the elections are not valid. That's the only way they can stay in power. So the good news is most Americans don't like this.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's 100% right. And I think that is the good news. And I think I think there is light at the end of the tunnel, because we've turned a corner or hit a tipping point, depending on your metaphor of preference. But the tipping point was that Laura Ingraham interview when he defended H-1B visas, and she said, well, we have talented Americans here. And he said, no, you don't. That's the tipping point, because that was the moment at which people realized, oh, wait a minute. There's nothing in this for us, right? There's nothing in this for us. So because at that point, what he's telling you, and that foreshadows this Tyson story that we did at the beginning of the live stream, where, okay, you're closing, these immigrants who work at this plant are getting, put out of work, and several of them are probably going to be deported. Okay, so that means we get to work there. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It means the plant is shut down.
Right.
There's no payoff in this for you. And once people understand that, at that point, anyone who is not left to revel in the mean-spiritedness of it all is going to jump ship. And most people do not revel in the mean-spirited. Most people are not sadistic incel losers like who follow Gunther Riegelman and hang on his every 5-word tweet. That's not the majority of people. That's not a winning coalition of people. But those are the only people left to support what this government is doing, because the people in the middle, the independents, who are now, Donald Trump is he's 40 points underwater with independents. Anybody who is not ideologically committed to brutalizing people who are less powerful than them and less white than them, frankly, is out. They're out. And you're left with the absolute bottom of the barrel, and you can't win elections with the bottom of the barrel. There's just not enough of them. There just are not nearly, they don't exist in sufficient numbers. That's why they're sweating this election out in Tennessee. The Republican will probably win, but he'll probably win by single digits in a district Trump won by 22 points just last year.
And I will also point out, it's harder with the internet to keep people completely ignorant of the rest of the world, but not impossible, especially given the way that they've seized control of communication by buying up people like Benny in the Closet and getting them to put out certain messages. The way that they paint Europe is absurd.
Right.
Let me tell you, my fellow Americans, if you should be so lucky as to have the quality of life that they have in Europe,
right,
by comparison to what they have here. And every place has its problems. I'm not saying, oh, it's utopia. There's no such thing. To make a perfect society, you would need perfect people, and we don't have those. But by comparison to the United States, the way they paint Europe to naive Americans, oh, yeah, we don't want to be like Europe. Yes, you fucking do.
Of course you do.
Yes, you do. This country is a hellhole. It's a hellhole, man. Like, we were just in St. Louis, man. Like, the crumbling infrastructure, roads that haven't been paved over, the poverty, man. New Orleans, I've talked about this. You got fucking streets that have been so neglected, it's gone back to dirt roads that you can see where the asphalt crumbles, and then there's just no asphalt, and it becomes a dirt road. I have never seen shit like that in Europe. They paint this portrait very much like what they do in New York. Like, oh, yeah, man, you really got to watch out when you go to Europe.
Yeah.
Look, man, if you spent one day there, you'd understand how absolutely fucking ridiculous that is. And they want to keep Americans scared because they don't want them to go anywhere. They don't want them to go anywhere and find out how much they are being ripped off by these criminals. The real criminals are not the criminals they're telling you to worry about. It's not the migrant criminals. It's the people who own these corporations that in turn own you.
Yep. 100%. All right. We're at 2205 in the chat. And 925 in the like column. All righty. Thanks everybody very much for being here. While we are between segments, we will take a moment to shout out our patrons. Hey folks, if you like what we do here and you want to help us do more of it, become a member at newdissidents.com/Patreon/Substack or /locals. By far the best way to support the show is to become a member. You get call-in access to our Q&As, which happen once a week, every Sunday night after the main show over on Rumble. You also get bonus live streams once a month. We do a post game where we do an extended show for the members, plus a call-in Q&A. Film Club live streams. You also get full ad-free replays of every live stream emailed to you the day after it airs in public. So if you miss a show and you want to watch it back without the commercial interruptions that happen on the replay, You get an ad-free version of that emailed directly to you. That's all for just $5 a month, plus your name up in lights here on the scroll. And in our upcoming documentary on the Uhuru movement, our patrons always get a credit in the film. So if you are so inclined, dudissidents.com/Patreon/Substack or /locals. You guys are the backbone of the show, and we thank you as always very much for your support. What is this? $1 Million Trooper says Valhalla VFD had an ex-SEAL, ex-French Foreign Legion guest recently who repeated the FFL is in Ukraine. His reporting on the legality of our Caribbean adventures is also okay. I ran out of characters there, but thank you for that. Appreciate that. The Antics Prime says, by the way, I believe it is Tyson is the one that had the commercial where they were so proud that they put all the costs and responsibilities on the farmers they contracted with. Interesting. Yeah, they are notoriously like an anti-labor company. Yeah. Eric Husso, Franklin doxes Benny's closet. Good one. Thank you. Hey, Megyn Kelly, nice news skirt, says Eric Husso. Yeah, that would have been a Mark Halperin line. Stoop sign. I looked it up, and Nick Sorter was involved in the fracas that involved the inflatable frog. Yeah, he was covering the news in Portland, and they arrested him, but it didn't look like he did anything that they should have like cuffed him for. RD and W, if one goal of the Trump administration is to make somewhat attractive people look like the most ugly faces on the planet, I'd say mission accomplished. Exactly. They are a testament to the phenomenon of inner beauty, right? You could be right out of central casting, but still be an ugly person at the end of the day. All right, you got some YouTube chats up there?
Yeah, we got a few YouTube chats.
How we doing in the YouTube till?
David Webb. Does Megyn feel the same way about the Sackler family? I would bet she does not. She does not. I would be surprised if there are any Megyn monologues about she wants them to suffer and slowly bleed out.
Yeah.
Media Grand Soir. Thank you.
That's very generous.
50 euros. That's more than $50.
More than $50. The exchange rate.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Andy Gardner. At this point, I'm just going to have to deal with the giant bugs. Australia, here I come. The Afrikaners can have this.
It's yours. You want it? It's yours.
I mean, seriously, man. Somebody said in the chat during that, if Americans saw China, they'd have an existential crisis. I mean, from the research I've been doing in preparation for my trip there, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm seeing. I have not, look, I'm going to be honest. I know we're going to have some of the tankies and Russophiles get mad when I say this. I've never known anyone who went to Russia and liked it, except maybe Tucker Carlson, who I don't know personally. I've never known anyone who went to China and didn't.
Right.
I've never had somebody come back with a bad report about China.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, yeah. I mean, Russia's just like, I mean, look, it's cold. I mean, yeah, I've heard.
I think that's what it is. Like, I think it's the cold. I think the culture is probably kind of like, like I think they feel like a tension there. They go there.
Well,
I knew a girl who was very adventurous type. She was supposed to spend as part of a program. She was supposed to be in Russia, I guess, like 3 months or something. She left in 2 weeks.
Interesting. Wow. I know someone who liked it. We know her. She's a mutual friend of ours. Jessie. She used to do theater. You know her some way. She went to Moscow for a while. She liked it a lot.
How long ago?
A few years. I mean, this was back when I knew her, so 10 years ago.
I mean, I haven't known anyone who's gone lately. So, you know what? My impression might be defined by like a kind of post-Yeltsin, early Putin kind of Russia. It might have been kind of rough there.
Yeah, that was a tough time.
Lately, I don't know. I guess it's because the tensions have ratcheted up again. Nobody's really going there now.
Well, yeah, they could throw you on the front line. Like the guy who went there to escape wokeness. The guy moves to Russia because we're too woke and he gets thrown on the front line of the war.
To be fair, now that I think about it, because of that, I haven't known anyone to go there probably in more than 10 years. I haven't known anybody who went there. So it might be well, probably not better right now.
Right.
Might have been nice to go there like 5 years ago.
Right. Or when Trump ends the war, which who knows, could be tomorrow. Could be any 24 hours. Right.
I mean, I would go there.
Right.
Like I would go check it out.
All right. Let's move right along.
All right. call this piece Cash Crash. So he's been making exactly the wrong kind of news lately. He sent a plane, according to reports, to go see his honeypot, absolutely not Mossad girlfriend in
Right.
concert.
She's
And
a
then he
sensation. She's a country music
She's a
sensation.
sensation. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Her stuff is much better than what you would get from the average AI program for sure.
Yeah.
He pushed out a 27-year veteran of the FBI who became the third head of the Critical Incident Response Group, which includes FBI pilots, to be fired or removed in Patel's short regime, adding to a year filled with retributive termination. So he fired this guy basically for ratting out the fact that he took an FBI jet to go see his
Right.
girlfriend's concert. And then FBI SWAT agents were reassigned to guard director Kash Patel's romantic partner, who is not at all Mossad, country singer Alexis Wilkins, a move experts say has no known precedent and one that raises urgent concerns about diverted crisis response. So apparently the name change has taken. They are now officially, MSNBC is now Multiple Sclerosis Now.
Yes.
Is the new name of the channel. But they did break this story. Now, I know, some people will be like, oh, but can you trust them? Well, not really. That's why we didn't cover it when this story broke last week. But in light of more recent reporting, now you have to kind of take it seriously. Trump weighing the ouster of Kash Patel, according to sources. Trump and White House aides have confided to allies that the president is eyeing removing Patel and is considering top FBI official Andrew Bailey as the Bureau's new director, according to the three people. Patel is described as being on thin ice, and his ouster appears closer than ever, with Bailey as the logical replacement, two of the sources with knowledge of the situation said, though Trump could change his mind in the weeks to come. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi has been frustrated with both Patel and Dan Bongino, in particular over Patel's untimely social media posts boasting prematurely about case breakthroughs, which sometimes threaten to jeopardize investigations. Both Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche have been irritated by the continuing distraction of news coverage of his questionable use of taxpayer resources, multiple sources have said. Okay, so if we're getting this straight, Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's personal attorney who still acts in that capacity by helping Ghislaine Maxwell suppress the information in the Epstein files to get moved to a club-fed prison that she's not legally supposed to be in, and Blanche Dubois Bondi, they think that Bongino and Patel are too unprofessional. They are too unprofessional for that crew. Let that sink in for a second. Trump inserted Andrew Bailey in the unusual role of co-deputy director at the FBI in September amid broad Republican concern about Deputy Director Bongino's lack of experience for the role. Bongino, a conservative radio show host and former Secret Service agent, had no experience in the FBI when Trump chose him to serve as deputy director after his inauguration. All right, so you got this. So Bongino is such a fucking joke that Trump had to put in a competent person to actually do the job that Bongino is theoretically supposed to be doing. Under federal law, Trump can install Bailey as acting director of the FBI without Senate confirmation, but only after Bailey has served in his current senior leadership position for at least 90 days. Bailey was appointed on September 15th. Under the requirements of the Federal Vacancies Reform Act, Bailey could begin working as acting FBI director anytime after December 15th and serve for the next 210 days without confirmation. Bailey previously served as Missouri State Attorney General and has earned high marks inside the FBI ranks, who consider him a steady hand on the helm, which several internal critics argue Patel and Bongino are not. That seems like a Trump move. That seems like a Trump move. Now,
well, this was the tell for me. This is how I suspected that was a real story when they put out this photo.
Yeah,
so like, no, was it?
Secretary Sugar Baby put this up in response to that story. This story is completely made up. In fact, when this fake news published, I was in the Oval Office where President Trump was meeting with his law enforcement team, including FBI Director Crazy Eyes. I read the headline to the president and he laughed. He said, "What? That's totally false. Come on, Kash. Let's take a picture to show them that you're doing a great job." Do not believe the fake news. Oh, yeah, he's a dead man. He's a walking dead man. This is exactly how Trump would do it. No, we're fine. We're
here,
fine.
take a picture. Come on, let's take a picture together.
God, December 15th can't come fast enough with this fucking guy over here.
Well, it works out very conveniently because that's when the Epstein files are due, right? Right around then, because their 30-day window is closing. So then they'll put out some bullshit. People will get furious at Kash Patel again, and then he'll fire him for that.
Yeah, for mishandling the Epstein
you
files.
mishandled it. It's a shame. We'll never know the truth, I guess. It's all his fault. It's all Kash's fault, and we'll never know.
What he did with those files.
What he did with those files
is terrible. I heard he felched them out of his girlfriend's ass over there. She's not Mossad, by the way. She's not Mossad, by the way.
But those aren't redactions. Those are shit and cum stains all over the names that we can't.
It's disgusting. I can't even. I tried to get a team in there to work on them. They sent me to HR for harassment. They called it harassment because there's so much bodily fluids.
We didn't redact anything. There's shit all over. We can't see it.
They thought I had a fetish or something. I'm a germaphobe. I'm not into that. So Nick Sorter, Trump was asked on Air Force One if he's gonna fire Kash.
Be nothing like it.
Are you planning to replace Kash Patel as
No, he's doing a good job. Kash Patel? No, he's doing a great job, I think.
This week we saw those cases against James.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. He's doing a great job. Now, what's kind of funny, man, I'm picking on Nick Sorter a little bit today, but he deserves it. Aboard Air Force One, President Trump personally, so he goes, this is his style. This is the house style of Nick Sorter and whoever else is running that account, because most of these people have a team. It's a business. Personally shuts down rumor that he wants to fire Kash Patel. This is what I mean. He's not as overt as Gunther Riegelman. You know, it's a little more, the support is a little more subtle. But this is where they're going to have a hard time. They're supposed to rally around whatever daddy says. But yeah, how do you rally around this guy?
Say the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list?
You've seen most of the file. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday.
Yeah, according to reports, 40 minors, minors at the time, have testified that they were trafficked by Epstein. So now this is where this story is starting to look more and more credible. This is a New York Post here. New York Post. Damning report labels FBI rudderless ship under Kash Patel. All right, so let's read some of this. Some of this is pretty good comedy material. FBI Director Kash Patel is facing withering criticism from an alliance of active duty and retired agents and analysts days after the White House denied media reports that the president is about to fire him. A troubling new report card on the first 6 months of Patel's leadership concludes that he is in over his head and his deputy, Dan Bongino, is something of a clown, according to the alliance, which in two previous reports warned about crippling DEI and politicization of the FBI during the Biden administration. Okay, so this is a nonpartisan working group. They previously reported on DEI and politicization under Biden. Okay, so they criticized many of the same things that Kash Patel criticized as the incoming FBI director. Now, Michael Tracy, who I don't know who's paying him or if he's just Andy Kaufman in disguise, but he seems to kind of supporting Dan Bongino. He shared this clip of Bongino claiming there was nothing to see there in the Charlie Kirk assassination. Now, if you watch Dan Bongino here, it's very similar to every other interview I've seen with him. If you interview this guy, he turns into a bug-eyed, blathering, sweating freak who clearly is guilty of something and clearly feels like he got himself into a situation he didn't really understand when he took the job. Here he is on that.
You know what, Maria? Kash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However, I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, and whether you like it or not is up to you. If there was a big explosive there, right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent and my personal friendship as a director does with the president,
look at Kash over there.
Give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. If you can think of one, there isn't. There in some of these cases, the there you're looking for is not there. And I know people, I get it. I understand. It's not there. If it was there, we would have told you.
Oh, no, he's not lying.
Yeah, no,
he's not lying. Yeah.
That seems totally on the up and up there.
Kash is just sitting there like, don't come to me. Don't come to me. Don't come to me. Don't come to me.
I've never seen two people enjoy their jobs less than those two. Those two were being like, man, we should have just stayed podcasting.
I mean, honestly, this is the truth. Yeah, they're both scumbags. I think Kash more so. I think Kash is more amoral than Bongino. I think Bongino was more of a true believer. I don't think either of them understood what was in the Epstein files. And I think that their whole experience at the FBI now is basically defined by covering up the Epstein files, which was not on their bingo card when they took these jobs. I don't think they realized how much Trump was in those files and how credibly accused he is in those files. And now their whole job is to basically go back on everything they said about that, which again, I think Kash is just a careerist. I think it bothers Bongino more. And that's why he turns into a sweaty mess every time he does one of these interviews. The Patel-led FBI is described in the 115-page report as a rudderless ship and all fucked up. Patel is described by multiple internal sources as inexperienced, with one source saying he has neither the breadth of experience nor the bearing an FBI director needs to be successful. Another source, a self-professed Trump supporter, said Patel is not very good, may be insecure, and lacks the requisite experience or the measured self-confidence to be FBI director. Hang on a second. You're telling me this guy is not qualified to be the director of the FBI? You're telling me Crazy Eyes Kash, the guy who wrote a children's book casting himself as a wizard protecting King Donald, is not a good FBI director? I can't believe that. Who could have seen that coming? Who could have seen that? I can't believe this guy doesn't have the gravitas necessary to command the respect of the troops at the FBI. Who knew? Who knew? However, an additional source described him as very personable and likable, while noting he created a culture of mistrust and uncertainty among the ranks. Well, you know, those things don't really go together.
Right.
Some of the heavy criticism stems from Patel's behavior in Salt Lake City after the Charlie Kirk assassination. He is accused of giving premature public remarks that potentially jeopardized the investigation, taking credit for the work of other agencies when the suspect was arrested, and for yelling and swearing at the agent in charge. Both he and Bongino were criticized for arrogance and an unfortunate obsession with social media. One source said they need to, quote, stop talking, stop posing, and just be professional. Another said they are spending too much time on social media and public relations. Now, this matches what the multiple sclerosis article said was the complaint that Bondi and Blanche had. So that's why I'm saying, like, now you put the two together, it's looking pretty credible. They're too often concerned with building their own personal resumes. The report was written in the style of an official FBI intelligence assessment, analyzing reports from 24 FBI sources and subsources and using anecdotes to illustrate troubling themes. Now, this is from the report itself. This is really like a satire. This is a satire of a hapless FBI agent or director. According to Alpha 99, FBI Director Kash Patel arrived at the Provo Airport in Provo, Utah on September 11th, 2025. Alpha 99 said that after his plane landed, FBI Director Kash Patel would not disembark from the plane without an FBI raid jacket. Note, no, it gets better. Note, based on Alpha 99's reporting, FBI Director Kash Patel apparently did not have his own FBI raid jacket with him and refused to step from the plane without wearing one. Alpha 99 went on to say many FBI special agents and other FBI personnel were busy working in the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and that FBI personnel had to stop and ask around to find an FBI raid jacket, a medium-sized one that would fit FBI Director Kash Patel.
Medium, my ass. That guy's a small.
Yeah, exactly. Alpha 99 said there were many large and extra large FBI raid jackets available. See if this had happened with Bongino, they would have been covered. Finally, according to Alpha 99, FBI personnel searching for a medium-sized FBI raid jacket that would fit FBI Director Kash Patel finally
it's like a
found
Seinfeld
one.
scene.
It really is.
I'm not getting off without my jacket.
I'm not getting off without my jacket. You find me a jacket. That raid jacket, Alpha 99 said, belonged to one of the female FBI special agents. Alpha 99 said the raid jacket belonging to the female FBI special agent was then delivered to FBI Director Kash Patel on the plane.
God.
But as he was inspecting the jacket, Director Patel noticed two areas on the upper sleeves near the shoulders that did not have Velcro patches attached. Alpha 99 said FBI Director Kash Patel then reportedly said he would not leave the aircraft until he had two patches to cover those areas.
My God. Sir, we're supposed to be working here?
According to, I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine what they think of him inside the FBI? Like, I've never heard anything like this.
No.
According to Alpha 99, members of an FBI SWAT team took patches off their uniforms and ran those patches over to FBI Director Kash Patel at the airport. Excuse me, special agent, we need your patches.
When you're going to need your patches.
We can't. You'll be serving your country. We need the FBI director to get off the plane. You won't get off the plane without those patches.
Without the patches.
Ran those patches over to FBI Director Kash Patel at the airport. The patches were then attached to the loaner FBI raid jacket, Alpha 99 said, and FBI Director Kash Patel disembarked from the plane. So David Leak had a funny response. Not the first FBI director to wear women's clothes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There's Kash with his patches.
Edition. Yeah.
With his patches. He's very happy now.
Wow.
Patel did not make, back to the New York Post, Patel did not make a positive impression, said Alpha 99. The director was not happy with the way the investigation was going and had earlier Nobody's gonna buy that a couple of kids write like that. Had earlier yelled at special agent in charge Robert Bowles and directed an expletive-laden tirade over perceived blunders in the case. Bongino later called Bowles and apologized for Patel's tirade, saying that never should have happened, according to the source. Alpha 99 also said Patel did a disservice to the FBI by breaking with bureau tradition and norms by taking credit for the good work by other agencies in the Kirk case, and seemed to imply the results achieved in the investigation would not have been possible without Patel's involvement. In another situation at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Patel was said to be upset when he heard about a discussion that took place among a few dozen FBI personnel about his request that he be issued an FBI firearm. When details of the discussion were leaked, Patel ordered everyone to get polygraphs to find out who had criticized him, according to the source, named Alpha 95, who is described as a highly respected leader and person of integrity. Alpha 95 was dismayed by the order to conduct polygraph examinations, which were needlessly punitive. The report, subtitled "A Pulse Check of the First 6 Months of Patel's Leadership," will be presented to the House and Senate Judiciary Committee this week. It, quote, was never intended to be a hit piece in any way, shape, or form, say the authors, who requested anonymity to avoid jeopardizing their positions. But the anecdotal reporting from FBI personnel skewed 80-20 negative. There is good news for Patel in the report card. The rollback of DEI policies under him is welcomed by multiple sources who say it has reduced the administrative burden. And they do go on to say, people who do law enforcement feel he's made it less bureaucratic. I would interpret that as legal justification. We don't need no stinking legal justification.
Yeah, right,
but that's my interpretation. Off the record here. Back to podcasting. Inept Patel probably made copies of some of the most heinous shit mentioning Trump. However, Lucky Bongino was ordered to actually redact Trump's name in the Epstein file and still in shock about the information he came across. Reality kicking in. Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. Frank Rich, when the Trump-loving New York Post makes FBI Director Kash look like Selena in Veep, you know he's done. Yes, that is what's really significant about that being in the New York Post. Now, I do want to mention, this is kind of interesting. They ran it as an opinion piece. There's nothing about that piece stylistically that makes it an opinion piece.
Right.
That is a news piece.
Right.
So why did they run that as an opinion piece for some plausible deniability in case they got any shit from Patel or his people? Hey, it's an opinion.
Hey,
look
exactly.
at it. It's an opinion column. We ran it as an opinion column. Why else would you put what clearly is written as a news story in the opinion column? There's no voice of an opinion in that. Yeah, Patel is, it was very clear going in. He was going to be a fucking total disaster. But, Hegseth's a disaster. Gabbard is a disaster. The whole crew RFK is a disaster. They're all a disaster. Do they get rid of this particular disaster? Is he any more of an embarrassment to the nation than Hegseth or Secretary Felcher over there? Not really. Like, you can't, under any other administration, sure, you'd say this guy's out of there. Not under this one. Under this one, none of these people would have these jobs. So who knows? His job, Bongino's job, like I said, I do agree with the assessment. A lot of people read that Bongino is probably more disturbed by what his job turned out to be than Patel is. But yeah, their job is to cover up for Trump. That's the job of everyone in the administration. The job of everyone in the administration is to show totalitarian state levels of submission to Trump and his will, and to protect him at all costs. Their first loyalty is to Trump, and that's why you could only get crackpots who would never get a job like this any other way, who would agree to take a job like this. We covered the other night with Hegseth. They lost half the people at the Justice Department, and they're begging for people to come work there. Begging. And these were considered very competitive, prestigious postings to go work at the Justice Department. They're begging people to come work there. So who do you have? You have these people, because you're only going to get people who are willing to risk not only professional suicide, but possibly jail time down the road to do whatever this administration tells you to do, a lot of which is going to be illegal. You have to be the kind of person who's willing to make that devil's bargain. There were rumors when the Epstein files thing broke that Bongino wanted out, and he pretty much disappeared after that. Like, I think he wanted out, and they sat him down, and whatever they either threatened him with or promised him, asked him to stay long enough that it doesn't look like a statement on the Epstein files. If you notice, you don't really see him much anymore. I think he didn't really know what he was getting into when he took that job. The rest of these people, they're careerists, and they're the scum at the bottom of the barrel that are willing to sell out the country for a man.
Well, and that's why they haven't been fired yet. I mean, the reason why Signalgate was not the end of the line for Hegseth is because the lesson Trump learned in his first term was that he needed loyalists around him. Right. And so as long as you're loyal to Trump, your job is safe until something comes up that they need to get rid of you for, because you are the scapegoat to protect Trump. Right. So like they're trying to pin this boat double tap on this admiral so that they can keep Hegseth. But if that doesn't work, they will throw Hegseth to the wolves.
Sure.
Just like they will throw Kash Patel to the wolves. And I have a feeling that like the timing is going to coincide kind of neatly for them, where when when the 30 days from the signing of the Epstein Transparency Act comes, that's around the time that this new guy Bailey becomes eligible to take over. So if that's a disappointment, they can, fire how Kash Patel really let us down, so he's out. It'll give them some kind of reason to switch things up. Anybody who gets close to Donald Trump regrets it. There are very, very few people. I won't say nobody, but very few people get close to Donald Trump and have a good experience and come out the other side being glad that they did. And so, that it's a little stickier this time than it was the first term, because Trump needs loyalists around him, and that's the ultimate like determinative factor. Otherwise, Signalgate would have been it for Pete Hegseth. They'd have fired him. And they should have.
It's not easy to find somebody that is going to suppress the Epstein files.
Right, exactly.
Right? You got to get somebody who's going to be willing to do that. So that's why I say, that's definitely a Trump move to have this guy ready to take over, pretend he's not going to do it, and then just do it. But the way they describe this guy, is he going to be willing to do what comes with that job? And for that reason, Kash could just stay there, because he doesn't care about basic competence. Clearly, he cares about having people in there who are not going to get him busted.
Exactly. All right. Why don't we move right on along here, folks? I just give you a brief heads up. A reminder, our longtime friend and sponsor, John Koa, has a new album out called A to Z Songs from the Tape Deck. 34 self-performed tracks, originals, and covers. First listens land here. Just a Little Off the Rails is an original single that he put out, which we debuted on our show, as well as his covers of Bob Dylan's Not Dark Yet and Paul Simon's Boy in the Bubble. Other covers include Atlantic City by Bruce Springsteen, Come Together by the Beatles, Dead Flowers by the Rolling Stones, Give Me Shelter, also a Rolling Stones tune, the Leonard Cohen classic Hallelujah, as well as, like I said, lots of other originals and covers. So you could check that out at dudissidents.com/Koa. That gives you the link to his Spotify, his Apple Music, and his YouTube channel. So please go subscribe and give a listen to his new tracks, and we hope to have more tracks to debut soon as the holidays draw near. Okay, all right. You want to do some super chats and I'll do some Rumble rants?
Okay, my man.
All right.
Sphincter Knucklebuster. USA overpriced hypocrites. Damn right, man. Damn right. Race car. The semicolon and parentheses characters are God's gift to humanity. Man, those things are nice.
Yes, they are nice. Thanks for the $20, race car.
All right, we'll move on.
Yeah, let me take some Rumble rants over here. Soda K748, as a South Dakotan, I apologize wholeheartedly for unleashing gnomes to the world. Every time my state is mentioned in the national discussions because we look ridiculous. Yeah, you know, Russ was talking about in the South Africa segment. Remember when we talked about the Afrikaners and we got all this pushback? When we did the segment about Christy Nome and the dog, we got all this. But you city boys don't know.
You don't understand.
Yeah, no, there's no dogs in New York City. No, there's no dog
no.
owners here. No. No, we don't know what it's like to not shoot a dog. Oh, George, he was on Dialogue Works. He was praising you, Max Cady, Electronic Intifada's Jewish voices that are speaking out. Nice, huh? Oh, all right. Thanks. I'll give that a look. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, oh, George. Appreciate that. James Prasic, thanks for the $20. Appreciate that. Venezuela is more important to Israel than the U.S. Could it be that the Israelis see the writing on the wall that the Middle East countries are going to cut them off and Venezuela oil is the hedge? That's, I think, a part of it, but I think the bigger part of it is the play against China. I think that's really the chess that's being played.
Yeah.
But that certainly could be because as Israel collapses, it creates some uncertainty about that part of the world as being as dependable for cheap oil. John M. in Minnesota. Russ, part of Alistair Crook's Monday segment on Judge Knapp was devoted to discussing the difference between how U.S. and China are developing AI. Subject worth investigating if you haven't already. That sounds interesting. Definitely.
Well, we've touched on that a little bit. You know, we're clearly moving towards a post-labor society.
Right.
Where do you think the people are going to fare better in a society built on a kill or be killed bootstraps ethos, or one that assumes that the wealth of society is meant to be distributed among the population? Which population is going to come out of that revolution better?
Right. Stoop Sign says Democracy Now! Reported that Trump pardoned the Honduran ex-president serving 40 years in U.S. prison for cocaine trafficking. Yeah. Yeah, we were going to cover
that story on hold.
Yeah.
We were going to do it Sunday. We ran out of time. Now the election results are pending. So we were talking about doing it today. It's like within 515 votes right now. The Libre Party is out, apparently. The party that's currently in power. So it's really between two right-wing candidates now. So we figure we'll cover it Thursday because by then it should resolve itself, it looks like. They're doing a manual hand count right now.
Yep. They're saying, according to their testimony, there is no there. I say again, there to the victims. That is why I reiterate to their statements, there is no there. Good one, Stoop Sign. I like that. Appreciate that. Eric Rousseau. So the FBI doesn't appreciate Cash's wizarding skills. What a bunch of muggles. Thank you, Eric Rousseau. Good one. I like that one. Appreciate that. All right, folks, we got one more segment on the day before we call it an afternoon. So, folks, it's that time of year. You know, we're going to start getting movie nominations, top 10 lists, awards, all this kind of stuff, Golden Globes, Oscars, and, of course, the Antisemitism Awards coming up at the end of the year. It's that time of year, says Stop Antisemitism 2025 Anti-Semite of the Year. Vote for your top 3 candidates by Friday, December 12th. So these are the nominees for Anti-Semite of the Year 2025. Tucker Carlson, Miss Rachel, Guy Christensen, Marcia Cross, Bryce Mitchell, Cynthia Nixon, Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian. Oh, wow. Both Young Turks host guy. Stu Peters and Kala Walsh.
I mean, this is kind of insulting, man. I mean, this guy Christensen, he's been around for fucking 10 minutes.
I know.
We're not on there.
Yeah, he's a newbie.
We're not on there. We're doing this for years.
I know. It's very very, very disrespectful. So Guy Christensen tweets out, looks like we made it. I'm a finalist in the running for Anti-Semite of the Year 2025. I'll let you guys know how to vote for me as soon as I figure it out. We really made a difference this year. Free Palestine and fuck Israel.
Oh, you know what I just realized? I mean, we were kidding, but in all seriousness, it seems like they avoided Jewish critics.
Yeah, I don't think it's easy for Jews to get on.
Yeah.
No, they don't really put Jews on because that would kind of look ridiculous. Not that this doesn't look ridiculous, but that would make it look even more ridiculous.
Like none of those people that they fucking viciously hate.
Exactly. Well, there's even dumber criteria that they use, which we'll get to in a moment, because there are also some other very notable names absent from this list for reasons that they will explain.
Yes.
So Calla Walsh, who's featured in the bottom right there with the circle, I am incredibly honored to have enraged Zion Nazis enough to make it as one of the top 10 finalists for Stop Antisemitism's Anti-Semite of the Year 2025. Please vote for me in the ranked choice voting to ensure my victory. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Good one, Calla Walsh. Now, Miss Rachel, you know, she's a children's entertainer, folks. She's not as sarcastic and sassy as Guy Christensen and Calla Walsh. Miss Rachel, you know, reminds us wanting kids to live isn't anti-Semitic. That's right. See, she's sweet. She's nice. She's sincere. So S. Zaid 15 says Miss Rachel is an anti-Semite because she thinks Palestinian kids have the right to live. Apparently, that's where the line is now. Exactly. They're calling Miss Rachel an anti-Semite for saying children dying are bad. And they act surprised why their reputation is down the fucking gutter. Most hateful group of people I've ever seen. Exactly. Like, you're going to nominate Ms. Rachel for Anti-Semite of the Year? For what? Rokana, Ms. Rachel is a preschool teacher who speaks up for starving children in Gaza. That is not anti-Semitism. I hope thousands will join me in standing up for her. Yeah, this is what Miss Rachel does to get nominated for Anti-Semite of the Year. Here she is accepting her Glamour Magazine Woman of the Year award, wearing the art of children in Gaza.
I am wearing this beautiful dress that has art from kids in Gaza, and these kids are just amazing. They're so thoughtful and so brilliant. And I know all their names and stories, Luna and Ahmed, Rama, Rana. I'm so proud of you. I'm so honored to wear your artwork. Rana made this beautiful drawing. She lost both of her sisters in the genocide. She lost her 9-month-old sister, Haya, in her arms in an airstrike. Her older sister was killed the next month. I want to end with her words because they're more important than mine. Rana wanted to say, I want to tell the world that my sisters are not numbers. They are moons. They are like the stars. They shine and sparkle.
So that's Anti-Semite of the Year. That's what gets you nominated for Anti-Semite of the Year, wearing the artwork of the kids in Gaza. One of the kids should have drawn the Jewish guy, the cartoon there, to give her to wear. That would have been a good troll. This is Muhammad's drawing of the that guy. Yeah.
George Soros with a big dollar sign over
George Soros with a foot-long nose. Yeah, that would have been good. But she didn't even go there. You know, she played it very, very clean. Yeah, wearing the artwork of the kids in Gaza, give it a beautiful speech. I mean, like, you have really just jumped the shark so outrageously.
A lot of people are reevaluating the legacy of the Austrian painter, and I think it's time we all do that.
Yeah, right, exactly. She could have trolled them that way, but she did not. And yeah, I mean, what that other tweet said is exactly right. Like, you wonder why your reputation is in the fucking gutter. It's in that, of course. Like, you're making people. If you're telling people that to defend Miss Rachel makes you an anti-Semite, there are a lot of people who are just like not going to play the semantical game with you and try to argue, well, that no, they're going to say, all right, fine, call me whatever you want. I don't care.
Right.
This is obviously a good person and you're obviously a manipulative scumbag. So whatever you want to call me. Fuck you. I'm not going to argue with you over it. Etan Nashin says it says a lot that for a pro-Israel snooper doxing outfits, Hitler-loving anti-Semites like Fuentes aren't even in the top 10. That's right. So Nick Fuentes, not on the list. Nick Fuentes, why wasn't I nominated for Anti-Semite of the Year? You hurt his feelings. You snubbed him, right? So, sorry, that was a repeat post there. But there was a lot of confusion as to why Nick Fuentes wasn't on the list. What about Candace Owens? Candace Owens not on the list. Well, it turns out Candace Owens is a previous winner. She was last year's winner. And it turns out here, for those questioning why Nick Fuentes wasn't on this year's list, we have been monitoring Nick Fuentes' anti-Semitism since 2019. While he was a finalist a few years back, his absence from this year's cycle does not erase his anti-Semitism. Rather, it allows us to focus attention on other individuals who are spreading hate, i.e., we do not recycle candidates from year to year. So basically, the goal of this is to smear as many people as possible. So once you're on the list, once you're nominated, you can't be nominated ever again. How stupid is that? So because Candace Owens was the winner last year, she can't be a finalist this year. First of all, you know, any sports fan will tell you the idea of like repeat winners and dynasties, that's part of the fun. Like you got to give somebody a chance to be like the 5-time returning champion anti-Semite of the year, else it's no fun. Right. But also think of how stupid this is. So if your goal here is to shame anti-Semites, then what you've basically said is because Nick Fuentes was nominated one year, he'll never be nominated again. Well, doesn't that give him license to be as anti-Semitic as he wants forever? Because you're never going to make him anti-Semite of the year again. So he's off the hook. Same thing. Candace Owens. She won last year. So now that's like what? Double jeopardy, same kind of principle, right? If she can't be charged twice, then I guess she just gets a free ride. Like it's so stupid on its own terms. This is what I mean. They're dumb. They're stupid too. It's not just that they're like disgusting and horrible and mean-spirited. They're fucking morons. They're stupid.
Yeah, Nick Fuentes should put out a tweet that he wants to be the Hattie McDaniels of Stop Anti-Semitism annual award. He wants to break that ceiling.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Mazalit Erikisinen, the Israeli guy, makes a very good point, I think. I mean, you talk about an oversight. Not Zohran Mamdani. Yeah, where's Zohran? No Zohran on this list? What's that?
Yeah,
about?
That's pretty surprising.
Come on, like that was it. So they try to clean up why they omitted Zohran. They say the incoming mayor of New York City's actions to date do not meet IHRA criteria. What the fuck does that mean? That's the International Holocaust Remembrance Association. What does that mean? I mean, that's a cop out.
What does not meet their criteria?
Of course, that's a cop out. That's an excuse. They clearly forgot.
You fart walking by a synagogue, you meet their criteria.
Exactly. You dry out the pastrami too much, you meet that criteria. If the center of the knish is cold, you meet that criteria. But no, they do not. I mean, that's a cop. They clearly forgot about Zohran. Like that's obvious that they meant to nominate Zohran and they didn't. Now they're trying to bullshit. Oh yeah, no. No, he doesn't meet the criteria. Wow. So anyway, who are these Stop Anti-Semitism people anyway? Meet Leora Rez of Stop Anti-Semitism, failed fashion blogger in the business of creating consequences while desperate to avoid them herself. Last year, she used fake addresses in empty buildings to try and avoid a defamation lawsuit, referring, of course, oh, by the way, we should just mention, obviously a vicious racist herself, ironically. Max Blumenthal tweets out here, the demented stalker who founded Stop Anti-Semitism has deleted her entire personal account after her history of racist rants came to light and has turned her other account, Leora Rez, to private. This Adam Milstein funded psycho has harassed me for years. We'll get into a little bit of Adam Milstein later, but here she is calling Ilhan Omar, which we blacked out for obvious reasons, a variation of the N-word. So this is an anti-bigotry, an anti-racist organization that really wants to stamp out the bigoted anti-Semites, calling members of Congress the N-word. That was in 2020. But let's talk about this defamation suit. So as Stop Anti-Semitism, Leora accused a college hockey player of spray painting swastikas, but police and the rabbi from the Jewish Center debunked the claim. Rez's bogus hate symbol got the student suspended, and then he sued. So this is from the court document. The Ann Arbor police released a statement that included photographs of the graffiti. These photographs did not contain swastikas or any other indication of anti-Semitic content of any type. The Jewish Center put out a statement saying the vandalism found at the JRC was offensive and disrespectful, but did not include any overt anti-Semitic symbols like swastikas. We've been in contact with those responsible and received a private apology as well as a subsequent public apology. The public apology took place on Shabbat in front of over 350 people. We deliberately chose Shabbat for the public apology, knowing it would not be recorded and thus not contribute to further public attacks. So they actually forgive the kids and told them, yeah, you could say you're sorry on a day where nobody's allowed to bring their devices in because, we don't want to ruin your lives. They even say, a couple paragraphs down, as far as the JRC is concerned, these students aren't bad people and certainly don't need to have their lives ruined. While they made a poor choice, they sincerely apologize, and we have high confidence that they won't repeat such actions ever again. So, because of that, the student sues her for defamation and, of course, is charged to track her down. The judge didn't buy the fake addresses or the hate crimes. She ruled the defamation suit can proceed. Court is expensive, so let's follow the money. So here it is, considerable resources in 3 different states to locate her, including retaining a private investigator and making 9 attempts to serve her. So they couldn't serve her the defamation paperwork because she's impossible to find because she uses these fake addresses. This is the shady character running Stop Antisemitism. Now, as for her bankroller, Adam Milstein, an ex-con convicted for felony tax evasion who funds name and shame campaigns. His strategy, put them on the run. Calling them anti-Semites is too simple. They're anti-Christian. So here's some video of Adam Milstein, one of the bankrollers of Stop Antisemitism.
Told Tony how critics of Israel should be handled.
First of all, investigate who they are. What's their agenda? They're picking on the Jews because it's easy, because it's popular. We need to expose what they really are. And we need to expose the fact that they're anti-everything we believe in. And we need to put them on the run. Right now, they can do whatever they like, terrorize us, and we are... How do we put them on the run, though? Doing it by exposing who they are, what they are, the fact that they're racist, the fact that they're bigoted.
Oh, they're racist. Well, the woman you have running the account called Ilhan Omar the N-word. So I don't know if how anti-racist you are. It seems like this is just like a mafia-like group out to ruin people who they smear as anti-Semites for being anti-Israel.
Democracy.
Do you think there's a good role to just naming them as anti-Semites?
Not just anti-Semites, it's too simple.
Too simple.
We need to present them for what they really are. They're anti-freedom, they're anti-Christian, they're anti-democracy. That's what we need to do.
That's what we need to do. Milstein worked closely.
Find all the words that bypass people's logic and reason. And tie them to those things.
Exactly. Yes. Milstein worked closely with Sheldon Adelson to build a network of 180 plus organizations, some of which, like Stop Antisemitism, aren't even incorporated and just hoover up money from fundraising nights Milstein hosts. Not a bad gig. Stop Antisemitism, run by Rez, is a well-paid cog in Milstein's machine, funded by his Morona Leadership Foundation. She pocketed over $237,000 in 2021 to 2022, making her the top earner at the charity. There she is at the Rage Against Hate conference with the 2 geniuses there, Mike Rappaport and Douglas Murray. There's also Cyberwell, also funded by Milstein. This organization tracks anti-Semitic content and partners with Meta to change policies and censor speech. In its role as trusted partner of Meta, Cyberwell submitted data-centered analysis on the use of Zionist as a replacement for Jew. I remember when that story broke, thinking, how'd that happen? Well, here you go. Often avoiding detection and flagging as anti-Semitic speech, according to the social media platform's digital policy and moderation resources. See, so now that Meta has recognized Zionist can be used as a euphemism for Jew, Cyberwell intends to leverage its technological tools and analysis efforts to ensure this policy is implemented efficiently and fully, and that Meta's moderation tools are trained to effectively bar this content. See, so you realize, this is what I tell people all the time when you're on social media, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or anywhere, a lot of what constitutes, a guidelines violation is detected by AI. So if you tell the AI to treat the word Zionist as if it were the word Jew, then people who go out of their way to call out Zionists specifically so as not to offend all Jews still get dinged, because when you tweak the AI to say, hey, treat these two words as the same, now you have the kind of censorship that these people have been wanting to implement for a very long time, and now they have AI to help them do it. And that's what Stop Anti-Semitism is. It's not just one social media account. These people operate like a mafia to destroy people who say things that they don't like. And now they've set their sights on the 10 nominees this year. But you can tell how unserious they are by the fact that they don't repeat nominees, right? It's just about smearing as many people as possible, right? It's not about actually running down the list of who were the worst offenders this year. And yeah, look at that. Miss Rachel, second on the list. That is just extraordinary. It's so embarrassing. I say this as a Jewish guy. Like, that is just fucking embarrassing as a Jewish person to have an account saying Stop Anti-Semitism's finalists of the year include a woman as sweet and as benign and as uncontroversial as Miss Rachel, one of the most beloved children's creators in the country, a woman who has 17 million subscribers on YouTube alone, not to mention the Netflix deal, which gets her exposure to millions and millions more. You really think you're going to go up against her and win in the court of public opinion? I mean, this is why their reputation is, just going down the tubes.
Well, very much like RFK called Israel our aircraft carrier in the Middle East. Israel Zionists and these supposed anti-Semitism organizations are the aircraft carrier of the deep state as it currently is constituted in the United States. It is we were going to do a story today. We'll do it Thursday now, about how ICE is using the same companies, man. Cyberwell, they're using these companies to start tracking protesters and prosecuting them. It just came out. A lot of these ICE agents are trained by the IDF. They are building you a digital prison. What you see in Palestine, it's the imperial boomerang. They're bringing it here. ICE is part of that. You want to stop illegal immigration? You go after the employers. Costs nothing. What would that cost? You probably wouldn't have even had to expand the agencies to do that. You would have had to just direct them to do it. What would you don't build a tens of billions of dollars of staffing, of organization, of detention facilities to go after immigrants. That's not why they did that. They did that to go after you. And the people that they're tied to are these people who own a lot of the censorship, a lot of the tracking technology, because who knows more about that than the Israelis that have been terrorizing a native population for 76 years, leveraging the funding they get from us and pouring it into surveillance and tracking technology. That's why they're so ahead in that kind of technology. That's why so many of these companies that specialize in these very Orwellian tracking companies, that's why they all come out of Israel. That's why everybody told me, be careful what VPN you use, because the Israelis have really cultivated these things with the purpose of terrorizing Palestinians and surveilling Palestinians. Now they're going to do that to you. The fact that you see that this organization is tied in to one of these monitoring and tracking companies, that is very indicative of how all of this functions. They need Israel, right, as a means of leveraging military force into a region with a lot of oil. They need the premise of anti-Semitism to leverage their interest in suppressing a population that's about to explode when they find out what AI and automation is going to do to their lives, and the fact that no one is coming to help them. They need to have a whole network of surveillance, control, suppression, imprisonment in place. they're using these anti-Semitism organizations and the claims of anti-Semitism as a pretext to help build out your digital prison and your literal prison via ICE.
All right. We will, on that note, take some remaining Rumble rants and super chats. Oh, before we do, I do want to just shout out James Lee, because James Lee was apparently let go by Breaking Points. And so go subscribe to his channel.
Shit got a little too real.
Yeah. It's 51.49 with James Lee. So go ahead and subscribe to his channel, help him out, and watch his latest video. I think what happened was, according to the way James put it, he interviewed Elijah Schaffer, who's the guy who sued Kash Patel. He interviewed him. He submitted that to Breaking Points for, I guess, like his weekly segment or whatever it was. And they told him, no, this is too hot to touch. We can't air this. And then apparently it went beyond that, and they parted ways with him. So, yeah, go over and support
They
James.
were afraid to get sued, huh?
Even though it's ridiculous. Like, he's a journalist. He's allowed to interview somebody. Like, that's freedom of the press, like the basic First Amendment. You can't interview a journalist for, like, if he were making claims as stating facts that are not facts, I suppose there's a theory. But if you're just like interviewing a person, you're allowed to do that as a journalist.
Well, there's a good example of what we've talked about a lot. Like, most of the people, particularly at that level, like Crystal and Sagar, they're media people, man. Usually they came out of corporate media and they wanted careers in media. That's very different from people who have come into this space from activism. In the end, they're business people, man. It's too hot. Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I don't blame people for not wanting to get sued. Like, if he actually did but he didn't. He did an interview. You're allowed to do an interview. Like, he's an interview. Like, if you actually defame somebody, you can't expect them to air that. But that's not what he did. I mean, it's an interview, for Christ's sake.
No,
like, this is a news story.
That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, those guys, they're media professionals. They always wanted a career in media. They worked in media before they got into this space. They decided that this is going to be better for them business and career wise. I mean, look, it's a very crowded ladder at those corporate media companies.
Exactly.
You got to answer to a boss. It's hard to rise. And, who likes to answer to anybody? So they went out on their own. But don't forget, they're not activists. They're not activists. At the end of the day, they're thinking in terms of subscriber count and not getting too many headaches.
Right. I mean, Jimmy interviewed Schaefer too. Like, that's a chance that he would take that Breaking Points wouldn't take, right? And this is what's so absurd about it. I shouldn't even concede that it's taking a chance. It's not. You're doing an interview with someone who's involved in a significant news event. Of course, the journalist is allowed to do that. There's no legal liability there whatsoever. So, I mean, they could have been using that as, and you're right, it's conceivable they just didn't want the headache, but it could just be that, they saw James was asking too many questions about too many issues and that they just didn't want to be branded alongside that. Because I can't imagine, like, as a lawyer, you really think there's a threat there about interviewing someone about a case that they're involved in. Like, that doesn't implicate the journalist in the case, unless you something that's not a fact or whatever. But I don't think that's what he did.
Yeah, but there's no basis for suing this guy in the first place.
No,
I mean, on that level, yeah, this administration is so cavalier with frivolous lawsuits. You never know with them. Like, the fact that there's no grounds for it doesn't seem to be much of an impediment for them.
Right. But at this point, I mean, it's so far and wide. But anyway, whatever the case may be, James is a friend of the show, so go over and support his channel, 51.49. All right, let's make this happen here. All right, what do we got? Vianticus Prime. Have you seen this video on a North Korean phone? Yes, I have. No, I can't tell by the link. Or this video on art and architecture. No, I have not. Thank you for those links, for sharing those with the audience. Stoop sign, according to Alexis Wilkins, Kash Patel is very medium below the waist. Yeah, totally medium. Yeah. That's funny. Healing Tarzan, Professor Zhang of Predictive History Channel is forecasting a Pax Judaica with Israel as the new seat of global empire. Thoughts to me sounds nightmarish. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work, though. I mean, I think they're on their way out. I do. I think Russell's right about that. I think he is. Stoop sign. Johnny Carson have a bit where he took names out of a hat while wearing a Swami hat, picking anti-Semites of the week.
He did. He did. Back then, it's very funny, man. Like there was this. I would love to see somebody do a documentary about this. Like there was this weird condescending affection towards non-Western peoples that runs like really from the birth of tourism. Like you see it in the 30s into, I don't know, man, really up through the 70s and 80s, that kind of thing. Dr. Bombay on I Dream of Jeannie, you know, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't supposed to be nasty. That
Right.
wasn't supposed to be mean-spirited.
Virtuoso released the backup data of the Epstein files if it's being deleted. There you go. Stoop sign. He also meets the criteria based on the IHRA criteria. Belief Israel cannot exist meets their shitty criteria. Of course he meets the criteria based on the IRA. Yeah, no, they clearly forgot. You know, sometimes that happens. You're putting together a list and, oh, shit, how could we have forgot this person? That's clearly what happened.
Yeah.
Tried to make
Must
it up.
be.
Like, oh, yeah, no, Mamdani, no. no, we don't really, no, he's not anti-Semitic, no. When you play clips of Miss Rachel, you could literally swap it out with clips of Hitler. People wouldn't know the difference. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Yo Shush. Stoop sign says, dude, I know I'm taking up a lot of airtime, but they cannot pick a more public stereotype than the cost of resources to find her. Yeah, exactly. Also, the Shabbat apology while they wage public shaming. No, the Shabbat apology was from there was the community center that was vandalized, was not vandalized with like swastikas. They were just like stupid graffiti from a teenager. And the reason they had him apologize in public on Shabbat is because people are not allowed to have their electronic devices with them on Shabbat. So no one would like film it and make it a big headache for the guy. So that's why they made him do it on Shabbat, was actually to protect his reputation, because the Jewish Community Center was like, all right, it's cool. Whatever. You're a dumb kid. Say you're sorry. We're fine. She used it to try and smear him and ruin his life with it. That was what that story was. Yeah. All right. Let's take some YouTube chats and then we'll close the lights.
Michael Castillo. Sarah Beckstrom name was researched in Israel before she was killed. We covered that the other night.
Yeah.
Kuznetsky Bassane, super sticker. Thank you, man. Jim Talib, super sticker. Thank you. Andy Gardner, here $5. And F you if you can't handle it.
Yeah.
If you can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
Smitty Jones III. You guys should get Calla Walsh on. Cool guest.
Yeah, I never heard of her.
Yeah, until the segment, I hadn't heard of her.
By the way, that segment was produced by our new segment producer, Big Mad Crab. I asked if I could disclose him to the public to give him credit, and he said,
he doesn't give a
he
shit.
He doesn't care. So Big Mad Crab is helping out with segments right now. A lot of you know Big Mad Crab. He's the co-host of Prol Pilled, which is a great new show. So you should go check that out on YouTube. That's Prol Pilled. So go to subscribe to their channel. And welcome Big Mad Crab to the team. He did the anti-Semitism segment, and he produced another segment that Russ will get to on the next show. So he's our new segment producer. And no, we will not fire him if he gets into a fight with you on Twitter. So just be cool. And if you get into a fight with him, that's between you and him.
That's between you and him. It is not our job to moderate Twitter spats.
That's right. Vienticus Prime says, you mean the Zionist made a list and didn't check it twice? I guess that's what you get for not believing in Santa. Thank you, Vienticus Prime. Appreciate that very much. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for being here today. A great show with you all. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are off tomorrow and back Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Follow us on Rumble. Smash that like button on the way out to boost this in the algorithm for the rest of the day. Thanks again for spending the afternoon with us. We'll see you all Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Until then, be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.